Are you smoking over there? Smoking something?
Start. Just regular stuff.
No, I meant, are we going to get the smoker going?
Oh, the smoker, isn't it over there? Isn't it put away in the rack somewhere? You'd have to grab it.
Here's your smoker, sir.
Thank you.
Pour some in there first, huh?
Yep.
How's it going, everybody? We are live, and we are coming into week 9 for fantasy football theories.
Coming down to it, getting
More or
into
less?
getting into the heavy bye weeks, bye-apocalypse for a lot of people.
How's everybody doing? Don't forget that we're on the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, Fantasy Football Theories or Clouded Jester, depending on what channel you guys decide to go visit. What an interesting last week, huh?
High scoring.
Last week was insane. There were so many different things, so many different crazy things that happened. The end of the Panthers and Falcons game, I think, was like it's gonna be hard to top that game. Like that was so bizarre. Just all the things that happened in that game. From like so Carolina turns the ball over with about 2 minutes to play. Atlanta, it just kind of looks like they're running out the clock. The announcers are talking about next week,
Yeah.
and they kick their field goal, ho-hum,
Yep.
They're up 34-28. Then somehow, on that, and it's when it was described to me in highlights and stuff like that, you don't really, without actually seeing it, you don't actually just appreciate the play. But it was like, it was a busted play, Mm-hmm. PJ Walker just heaves the ball towards the end zone, and somehow DJ Moore comes down.
What a great throw. I mean,
It was a great throw. It was a great
amazing
catch. Bad defense.
Bad celebration.
And then that. So you push the PAT from 32 to 47, and he misses the PAT to send him to overtime.
And misses it badly.
And then overtime, huh?
Misses it badly. So, I mean, he might have missed that from, closer up. Maybe that wasn't in his head.
He missed it. Well, he missed a close field goal
and then,
in overtime.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure who feels worse this week, if it's DJ Moore or if it's...
it's DJ Moore.
I don't know, man.
Because he's the star of the team.
Because the kicker still should have got the job done.
Well, he's losing a job, but...
That's what I'm saying.
DJ Moore lost pride, man.
I don't know. He's fine. I'm sure he's fine. It's a stupid rule.
I totally agree with that.
It's a stupid rule. And you know what? And I heard people talking about it. Like, there was, I can't remember. I think it was, actually, it was your boy Harris, I think I was listening to. It was talking about it.
Najee?
No. Chris Harris, the podcaster.
Oh. Okay.
And was making fun of the people who think that it's a stupid rule, kind of. Because it's kind of like, oh, he was off the field, gotcha, type of thing. Take the helmet off, and it's like, yeah, well, the idea is that they need to wear the helmets during the play so that they don't get hurt. So penalizing a player for having taken his helmet off after a play is over is just, it's not within the spirit of the rule. Like, because the idea is that they didn't want any more plays like that, that glorious Jason Witten play from back in the day from Sunday Night Football where he lost his helmet and rumbled on for like another 40 yards, Yeah,
but that's why they made the rule that as soon as the helmet comes off, the
I
play
know,
is ended.
but what I'm saying
now,
is but all of that, that all ties in together. The idea is you're not in the field to play without your helmet on because it's unsafe.
Right.
He wasn't he was out of the back of the end zone. He was celebrating a touchdown. The play was over. I don't understand why you need to penalize the player there. But that being said, kicker still should have got the job done.
Because it's a team game, man, and you don't need to bring.
He celebrated with his teammates.
You don't need to bring attention to yourself, okay? You celebrate
that's what
with your teammates.
and that's really what it is. Put the helmet back on, boy.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb, is what it is. But and it's one of those things that will change with time. It's one of the, this is a league run by a bunch of old men. old billionaires.
But that's
you got to keep that in mind.
Increasingly, that's ending, and I had some thoughts on that too because the Commanders are up for sale now. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
And it's very likely that they're going to be purchased by an ownership group, which is more the norm now. So rather than just having, a monarch family kind of running these NFL teams like you have in like Kansas City and you have in New York, or you have in Las Vegas with with Davis. And it's like, and that guy definitely doesn't belong owning an NFL franchise.
Right.
You're going to have more of an executive board situation, which to me makes a lot more sense.
Well, and now that football has moved to be, the multi-billion-dollar operation that it is, that every team is worth more than $1 billion. Yeah, I mean, maybe that we've grown to a different point.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And so as these old, white billionaires die off, then maybe we'll start getting that. Or as they keep, harassing their employees and doing stupid things, that will slowly get them out one way or another.
So should we mosey on into our Homer Minute for a second?
We probably should have got that going already.
Do you want to grab me a beer?
The Cowboy game was fun last week. Did not expect that. That game just smashed the over. Like,
oh my goodness!
It was a combined 78 points.
I didn't think Dak was just going to come back and be that effective.
Well, he's really good.
Yeah, I know, but
it took
still,
2 weeks.
I felt like he was going to have a warm-up game or something.
You know what?
Well, the warm-up game was
He
last week.
completed
He wasn't great the
He
week
completed
before.
80% of his passes last week.
The week before, you mean?
The week before, his first week back.
Then why did he look so bad, and how come the offense didn't move?
Because they were conservative.
Okay,
They were
right,
very
because
conservative.
Dak was just coming back.
But
I get
so they weren't. They were much less conservative in this game, and you saw the results. They opened the game with 3 straight touchdowns. It was beautiful, but just every single week, Micah Parsons.
Wasn't it all just Tony Pollard though?
No, absolutely not. I'm
just trying to rile you at this point.
Why is that? How is that going to rile? How are you going to rile me by suggesting that I have 2 awesome running backs on my team? How is that going to rile me?
No, I'm suggesting that you have one awesome running back and he can't get the ball because the mediocre running backs in front of him.
Here's about that. Mm-hmm. Tony Pollard can't handle the ball any more times than he's being asked to handle it already. He can't. He's just not built to do it.
Yeah, he's a 12 touch a game guy.
They talked to him after the game.
I heard that.
And he was exhausted. He only carried the ball 14 times. Mm-hmm. He's just not the same athlete that Zeke is. He's so fast.
Not the same size.
He's not the same athlete. He doesn't have the same endurance. Ezekiel Elliott is a sprinter. He's not just a world-class football player. He's also a world-class hurdler.
Zeke is?
Yes.
Ezekiel Elliott?
Ezekiel Elliott, yes. In college was also a track star.
If you would have told me that of Tony Pollard, I'd be like, yep,
No, Ezekiel Elliott.
Zeke?
Yes.
I'd never
straight line speed, Ezekiel Elliott is still very, very fast. He is.
Very fast? Or?
Yes, he's still very fast. It's just...
Still as in this year?
Yep. He's still very fast.
All right, we'll see.
But
you of course, you tried to trade Zeke away this week too.
Tony
can't
Pollard,
have too much confidence.
But Tony Pollard, you want to talk about one particular league where I also happen to have Deebo Samuel on bye, and Jamar Chase got hurt, and I had Justin Herbert on bye as well. So I have Deebo now. Well, Deebo wasn't on bye. Deebo was hurt. Deebo missed the game. Zeke missed the game. Jamar Chase missed the game, and Herbert was on bye. So I was in a little bit of a situation.
Willing to trade away the house. I got you.
Willing to trade away something. And that was the least. That was the most I was willing to trade. So you look at those other pieces. If you're going to move one piece, which piece are you moving? You're probably trying to move Zeke, not Deebo or Chase or Herbert. But anyway. as we get away from a digression.
Again.
Yeah, Tony Pollard he's not gonna ever carry the ball that many times. It's just not gonna happen. Like, you can dream about what it might look like if he was able to get 25 carries and 5 catches a game, but what it would look like is, him getting carted off in game 2. Because
and I kind of threw that out there for you. I mean, it was a little bit of red meat for you.
So I don't really worry about it.
But that needs to be thrown out there. That needs to be said. People need to make sure that they know that when that's what
people should
Pollard
understand
is a
that.
12 touch a game.
He's so
guy.
talented. He's so talented. He just doesn't. He's not built to carry the load.
Yeah,
but he's really, really fast. He's
but I will say,
electric fast.
Like, I think a lot of games before he may have only been getting 8 touches, and now he's definitely going to get that full 12. Like, they're going to want to make sure they give him his 12 to 14.
It's been it's been a more even split this year than any other year.
But I'm saying after this last week,
they
you don't
both
think it changes things a
Ezekiel
little
Elliott
bit?
and Tony Pollard both see more than 50% of the snaps, and that was before the injury. I didn't actually look at Pollard's snap percentage from this last game, but I would be willing to bet that it wasn't actually dramatically different from his norm.
Oh, okay. He just performed dramatically. Well, he got the ball a little bit more too, but
He didn't
But,
like
yeah,
he
he just had the
he
great-
sco- no he got so the difference in this game was the 3 touchdowns. He scored 3 touchdowns, and
Yeah,
that was because he didn't get replaced by Zeke inside the 20.
one was a long
One was a
touchdown.
long one,
Okay.
and that is the one where he can do that one on any given week.
Right.
But the other 2 on most weeks,
He normally doesn't get.
yes.
All right. Well,
So
move on to mine. Or?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys.
Honestly, my homer minutes, pretty short right now. Steelers are my team. If you're a new listener,
I'm sorry.
see my hat.
Real quick, 53% of the snaps last week for Tony Pollard.
Okay.
Down 12% from the Detroit game.
Because he's getting the ball more. And
Zeke
needs more
played.
of a rest,
Zeke played that game, the Detroit game, and then the Chicago game was all Pollard's. He played 53% of the snaps.
Nice.
So
Steelers made a trade this week for a cornerback. He's more of an ancillary piece. He's not a superstar, but he's going to be good in our defense. Other than that, I mean,
that was
our
you're not going to talk about the other
our
thing.
quarterback is still
You're going to talk.
still learning.
You're going to talk about the cornerback that you traded a 7th round draft pick for, and you're not going to bring up Claypool.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, honestly, dude, Claypool has been gone in my head for so long. Like, I knew we were going to trade him. Everybody knew we were going to trade him. You could see in some of the in some of the games that we were actually showcasing him, like purposely just manufacturing touches for Claypool. And I'm sitting there like, why are we doing that? Oh, yeah, because we're shopping him, and so the fact that we shopped and actually got a second and what's likely to be a high 2nd round pick feels pretty darn good.
Yeah, So I like Claypool, and getting a 2nd round pick for him or giving up a 2nd round pick for him doesn't seem terrible to me until you put it in the context that in the same day they traded Roquan Smith away for a 2nd round pick. So and a conditional 5th round pick like the following year. So you're telling me like you traded Roquan Smith straight up for Chase Claypool.
Yeah, in a way,
You're fired.
Yeah,
you're fired. You are
Absolutely.
fired. Like seriously fired.
I'm glad Chicago's around, man. They make so many bad trades.
Like, and all I could think of is like when they hired that general manager guy, and he made that stupid statement, that stupid bold statement, to
what was it?
we're gonna like taking back the North or something like that.
Okay.
And like, yeah, you're doing it, man. Taking back the North for the AFC.
It's funny. He has to say that, but
Come on, that is the worst move. Like giving up seriously. If all they had done was give up a 2nd round for Claypool that day, good day for the Bears. But,
okay day for the Bears.
Oh no, it's not. It's a good day for the Bears. I think that Claypool is not ever going to be he's never going to be your All-Pro wide receiver.
Right.
But I like him better than Gabe Davis.
But look, we got Pickens in the second round.
I
this year,
know,
and
I
Pickens
know.
is going to be way better.
I understand that, but that's for you. You have that.
Right.
You have Pickens. You have Freiermuth. You have Najee Harris. You have Deontay Johnson. Like, you didn't need him. But look at what the Bears had. Like, he
Right.
instantly becomes questionably their number one. Like, they've got it's him and Darnell Mooney.
Well, yeah, it's him and Mooney, but
It's him. Okay. Oh, it's him and Mooney. Like, you say that like,
But I
who's
mean, you
Darnell
think-
Mooney?
I guess I thought Mooney was a little more talented than
I like Darnell Mooney, but Chase Claypool is like, they were calling him Mapletron when he came out. Like, he's
Yeah,
a
because he had
monster
that-
of an
that
athlete.
6-game
He's-
stretch.
It's not about the 6-game stretch. It's about the measurables. It's because of how.
but
like,
he's not
It's
living
how.
up to it, and that's why we shipped
And
him
maybe
off,
he
man.
was, and you never know. Maybe it was a bad situation.
Could be. But Tomlin also has a reputation of
Eh,
getting the most out of his players. So
Okay, but he's also an old school guy now. At this point,
well,
at this point,
okay.
at this point in his
funny,
life,
but yeah.
he's an old school guy now. And like, when a lot of times when he says things in the media, like, while mostly I agree with it, there is a certain tone that comes off of him that is slightly out of touch. And like, because he just, and in recent years, the Steelers haven't done a good job of holding on to their stars.
well, honestly, we've had stars that have, I mean, if you're talking Le'Veon Bell, you're talking Brown, Antonio Brown, like, well,
I wasn't; those weren't even like the particular ones I was talking about. But that's how your offensive line fell apart.
Okay.
Was free agency. They left via free agency.
Yeah.
Rather than staying in Pittsburgh, which is
we
typically
probably-
what happened. You've lost defensive stars, like people who are still in their 20s that are playing for other teams now, which is just not typical of the Steelers. Like,
it's usually a fit thing though for us.
you guys are really good at draft. Like, you guys draft the guys, then they become stars in your system.
Right.
Then they stay. That has been a.
Stay on defense, leave on offense.
It's been that way for a long time. You guys have had defensive players come and just be a part of the team for a long, long time. And it hasn't been that way recently. And I'm just kind of like, this is just stuff that I've kind of seen. And all I'm saying here when I say that stuff is that absolutely I would take another like a second round pick. Like, I would have rather taken Chase Claypool, like what he is right now, because he is younger than their rookie Velus Jones.
which is hilarious.
Okay, so I would absolutely take another chance on Chase Claypool before I would have taken any of those rookie wide receivers this year.
Well, we have different visions of Claypool, and like I say, I've seen
So
a bit of him, and
you're saying you'd rather have Drake London?
then Claypool, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
Like, without
based on what?
hesitation,
But
man.
based on what though?
And a lot of that is promise, draft capital, what everybody has been saying about him and this draft class. So, I mean, a lot of that is, speculation. I did like what I saw from him in the beginning of the year while they were still throwing the ball a little bit, and then they stopped throwing the ball. So who knows?
I just kind of feel like Claypool hasn't had a real like chance to show off what he can do, because like look at like
See,
the
I
three,
feel like he has had.
look
that
at the
chance
3
and
years
failed
that
at
but
it.
look at the 3 years that he's been in Pittsburgh. He had 2 noodle arm Big Ben years, and then Mitch Trubisky, the Mitch Trubisky project. So it's not like he had Brady, and like him and Brady didn't get along and he didn't do well. He just like, and he did flash. He scored a bunch of touchdowns in his first year,
6, yeah,
and you can
first 6
tell that like you can still like when he has the ball in his hands, he's dangerous. He's a dangerous football player with the ball in his hands. He's a weapon around the goal line.
I don't know about around the goal line. Anyway, we need to move on
Yeah.
to
Anyway,
Gray's Homer minute here.
We could, but like, does he really want to get to it?
Hey, you got to take the good with the bad, man.
Whose
Yeah, right?
house?
So, I mean, again, we're seeing that the Rams are struggling with beating the Niners in the regular season.
Not getting any easier with that CMC fella.
You know what? And if this was a Niner like minute, I would have a lot to say about that. But what I will say is that Niners team is a totally different team with that guy on that team. Their team is totally different now.
The energy is different. Yes, they just look like a more confident team.
But getting back to the Rams, when I saw Kupp go down, I was kind of in a way like, I hope he gets sat for a week. I would like McVay to force himself to learn how to spread the ball a little bit. Or if it's not him, if it's Stafford at the line, choosing to just only throw to Kupp, which I think he's like 30% of the offense up to this point from last season to this season. And that's the highest in the NFL to be like putting that all on one person like that. It's just not good.
No,
the defense goes, it's going to Kupp.
And he got hurt.
It's going to Kupp. You know what I mean? Like,
and he got hurt at the end of and he got hurt at the end of the game at a point where he probably shouldn't have been in the game.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what's going to happen. You keep leaning on one person, and they're going to get hurt.
You make them a target to get hurt too. So, which I don't think that's the direction they're going to go. I think they're going to play Kupp.
It looked like Allen Robinson was getting more involved.
He's getting more involved. Skoranek didn't get as involved as I thought he would that game. And it's really, I think, just comes down to where's the confidence at and spreading the ball out or around to other players. So, I mean, that's really all I got to say. If they don't win this week, then I'm pretty sure we're out of playoff contention.
It's the ultimate cornered animal game.
I don't like
so awesome 3-5. Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. But I love it. I love the matchup.
We're going into needing help. We're in needing. I know. I figured you wore it just to bother me, but we're now entering the point where we need help to get into the playoffs. Right? We need the people to beat the Niners. We need people to beat the Seahawks.
The real problem is the NFC East for everybody else, because the NFC East, like their schedule is so easy that all the teams have such great records.
Yeah. So
you have an 8-0 team and 2 6-2 teams in one division.
So that's catching a wild card, even catching a wild card now, like Seahawks are more likely to catch a wild card than we are, or the Niners. One of them's going to win, and one's going to catch the wild card.
I feel like
unless
the Seahawks
we get some help,
stumble, but
yeah, and hopefully they do.
I don't feel that way.
I don't think so either. I think Geno matured enough.
They look really good.
Like crazy, huh?
The last 2 weeks have really made a believer out of me in the Seahawks. They smashed.
Like
the Chargers,
maybe it was Russ. Maybe it was Russ and not Pete Carroll.
Yeah, it's crazy. And watching that Broncos Jaguars game, Russ sucks, dude. Russ just sucks. And Geno doesn't. Geno looks good. Geno he looks like he is able to put the ball wherever he wants to put the ball, and
he can run.
So you think Pete Carroll and
that was the
Seahawks organization? We got this haul.
You want to know what I really think?
Over the hill guy.
What I really think is that right now in greatest trades in NFL history, I think the Herschel Walker trade between the Vikings and the Cowboys is probably the greatest one-sided trade in history. Mm-hmm. This one's going to be up there.
It could be.
As time goes on, this one's going to be up there, I think. Russ looks bad. He just looks bad. What they thought they were getting was
what they thought they were
was the maestro.
Hey, we all thought they were getting.
I was on the fence.
Okay, but I say that
I was on the fence. I have
general fan.
I have very
football community.
To be honest with you, I have very few Broncos. I have Russell Wilson in 0 leagues. I drafted him nowhere. I have Cortland Sutton in 1 league. I have Judy in a couple, and I like Judy. Judy looks good. Judy was the only thing that looked good for the Broncos. Actually, sadly, Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray looks healthy. He looks
so ridiculous.
He looks good. He's
so ridiculous.
He made a couple cuts in traffic where I was like, I didn't know he could do that. Even when he was 26, I didn't.
You know what that made me think when I saw those? When I saw those runs? Oh my God, Melvin Gordon is completely washed.
Oh yeah, because he looks better than Melvin Gordon.
Oh, he looks a
Yeah.
ton better than
Yes.
Melvin Gordon.
He's
I'm
like-
just like, oh God.
He's bigger, faster, shiftier.
I had
like,
a
I don't-
complete different idea of Gordon. I thought he was pretty good still. Like, I do not think
I
that
told you
anymore.
Murray was the guy.
Oh
though.
my God.
If you remember, I told you if there was one guy to have, it was going to be Murray.
But that's like, it's Latavius Murray. He's
I
been
know,
around,
but I'm
around the
telling
league. We know what he is and what he can do.
But the thing,
like,
I'm thinking he's been unhealthy.
gross.
I'm thinking he's been unhealthy because he looks like a
guess.
different player right now. He just looks different. He looks like
Or maybe he's just competent.
or he's got some new steroids, undetectable
stuff.
some undetectable steroids or something. But he looks different. Russ is just he's inaccurate. Is the biggest thing. But Denver thought that they were getting a maestro. They thought they had this giant beautiful orchestra built, and all they needed was the guy to come in and drive them there. And now it's like you're looking at what their offense is doing, and it's like they look like they need to do some building, and that's not what you trade 3 first-round draft picks for.
Now, just to give the other side of the argument, did you hear Richard Sherman this week?
Richard Sherman does not like Russell Wilson, and
But did you hear him?
No, what did he say?
The quote that I was looking at was him saying that, look, they tried to fit Russ into this system, basically trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Oops.
And he's never been in that system before. And you know what I mean? It's going to take him time to get used to it and this and that. I think Russ is going to be fine. And so I just like that coming from Richard
Even if
Sherman
you
just
fine-
meant a little bit to me. I'm
sure,
just
but
like,
okay, sure,
maybe.
okay, Russ is going to be fine. Is okay. So next year, but that's not that is not the kind of situation you give up that kind of capital.
That's
for.
not what they paid for.
Like what they thought that they were getting, and now Peyton Manning's one of a kind.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom Brady did it too, and Tom Brady's the GOAT. So, but Matthew Stafford did it too.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Okay. So, and the Rams did not pay what the
They paid a lot.
they
but
did not any. No, the Rams didn't pay anywhere close.
for Stafford. I thought they.
They gave.
I don't remember.
It was
I don't
like-
remember the details.
I
that
think
trade.
it was a first-round draft pick in golf.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
I think it was
that.
I thought it was a little bit more.
I think
but
it was
still,
one.
That's quite a bit.
Huh?
That's quite a bit.
not for a Super Bowl.
That's not 3 though.
I agree.
The Broncos
Of course,
gave up
yeah.
3.
I'm just saying it was still significant.
But see, but the thing is the Rams were like, okay, if we plug in a quarterback, we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. They found their quarterback, they plugged him in,
And
they
they went to the
paid a
Super Bowl.
third of the price that the Broncos paid.
Agreed.
And the Broncos are not going to make the playoffs this year.
Good
And
shot,
they
good
just
chance,
and they just traded away their best pass rusher. So they've been like now you're selling.
yeah.
Like so it's obvious that they made a mistake. And now on the other side, so it's really funny because that we're talking about how bad that trade looks for Denver. They traded Bradley Chubb to Miami, and I saw this thing for Miami. Miami traded down with San Francisco in the Trey Lance deal when San Francisco traded up to get Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
Miami has turned that deal into Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Broncos, you should take notice. That's how you do it.
So we have questions before we get on to our matches.
Oh, excellent.
cool.
We love
Excellent.
questions. What's up, guys?
It's like a 2-part question. So from Chaka, which is, I believe, a first-time YouTube viewer,
Welcome.
should I trade away Jacobs and G. Davis for J. Jadas and K. Herbert PPR?
Say that again.
Right, Herbert and
Should I trade away Jacobs and G. Davis for J. Jadas and K. Herbert? It's a PPR league. Or would you rather do Amon Ra and Walker for J. Jadas and K. Herbert?
Jay Jadis?
That's what he put on there.
Spell that for me.
Jettas. And he spelt it that way twice.
Jett.
AS.
I don't know who that is.
I'm at a loss too.
Yeah.
Is this a viewer testing our knowledge with
Maybe.
with the
Yeah, I'm at a loss for who that is. What was the other one?
K.
well,
Herbert?
No, I don't. I don't like trading away Josh Jacobs because he seems to be like the only good thing in their offense.
Whoops, sorry.
He had a down game against New Orleans, but I
Stop
think
it.
New Orleans' defense is just getting better. And Justin Herbert has the best second half schedule of any quarterback. So I'm not like I
It
would.
looks like
move
it's
him.
Khalil Herbert, isn't it? It's K Herbert.
Oh, for Herbert. For Khalil Herbert?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
No. Don't do that.
Was there another part to that question?
That was it. I read both like the 2-part question. I'm gonna look up this Jay Jadis. I don't see anything on him on Google. Let's look at players here.
I know it's something simple where if we just flip a letter around, it's like, oh, it's that guy. You
Yeah,
know what I
exactly. I'm
mean?
thinking that too. So
Nothing's
Just
coming
I'm
up
at a
in-
loss right now, though.
Nothing's coming
if
up
we
in
figure
players.
that out, we can come back to it.
The closest thing we caught was Jefferson,
Yeah,
like Jefferson the Jet or something like that on Google.
Jay Jefferson. Yeah, if you're trading
Now
for,
that's a whole nother.
yeah, if
ball
you're trading
game,
for Justin Jefferson, then yes.
right?
Yeah, if you're trading Jacobs,
Oh, he put something.
It's Justin Jefferson.
yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I actually I was looking at this today. Justin Jefferson's only has 2 receiving touchdowns this year. They both came in week 1. So I think
Crazy.
touchdown regression is coming his way. Positive touchdown regression is coming his way.
Good chance he has a good week this week too.
And yeah, he's playing against Washington this week. So it's just a good time to have him. But I love his second half. I think he's going to be amazing.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. Now that we've figured out what that trade is, definitely.
Can you say it again now?
Okay, sure. Should I trade away Jacobs and G. Davis for Jefferson and K. Herbert? It's PPR league. Or would you rather do Amon Ra and Walker for Jefferson and K. Herbert?
No, do the first one.
The
if you
first
can.
one.
Yeah, the second
first
one.
one.
Now you're getting close to.
And
now it's an interesting. I don't know if I'd want to do
Yeah,
that.
because Jacobs has probably had his best games already.
And Walker is looking amazing.
Walker hasn't had his best game yet.
Yeah,
I don't think.
like Walker is not a guy that you want to be trading away. That's one you want to be, stashing.
Walker's best game could come this weekend.
Oh,
honestly.
man, he's gonna be so
they're
good
playing,
the
they're
rest of
playing
the year, I
Arizona,
think.
right? Yeah. He could have a monster game this weekend.
What was that?
Bluetooth hooking up.
But yeah, I would absolutely do the first side of that and get Justin Jefferson. I
Yeah,
think
if
that's
you-
an
if you can
excellent
pull
trade.
that off,
because
that's-
Justin Jefferson hasn't had his best games. Khalil Herbert could take over for David Montgomery in the
Yep.
second half, and even if he doesn't, like he's looking like last year's AJ Dillon, where it doesn't like we were waiting for Aaron Jones to get hurt, and then it just didn't matter. It just got to a point where you just start him. He might get 10 points, he might get 20, but he's probably going to get you at least 10. More, a lot like Kareem Hunt, who's not doing the Kareem Hunt stuff this year. Who were really sad didn't get traded.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised.
And actually, I was sneakily thinking it might have been Dearness Johnson that was going to get traded. That's why I was ready for that too. But no, they just didn't do anything.
Man, they're just waiting for their quarterback to get back.
On the most active deadline day in history, NFL history.
That was fun.
The
Like,
one trade everybody thought was going to happen didn't happen,
Yeah.
or the 2 trades, because the other one, is resulted in Brandon Cooks not playing last night,
right?
pouting.
Hilarious. But except that he's on my
That
team,
could
and I
send
had
me
to.
on a digression for about 20 minutes.
yeah.
Oh my god, that irritated.
And before we move on to the games, I just want to say that going to break on the last day of the trade deadline, going to break and just getting to look at my phone, and it's like 30 messages.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, I got to read through all these. You know what I mean?
So and so to so and so, so and so.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
What?
Oh my god.
What?
Yeah, and there were some good deals.
Yeah.
It was some good players that got dealt. It was yeah.
More than I remember happening in the past. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was crazy yesterday, or not yesterday, but Tuesday I think it was.
So moving on to our next game, our first game. All right, guys, we're going to the games.
Wait, did we get a question there?
Oh yeah, we did actually from Jimbo Fisher, which he's been here before.
Hey, what's up, Jimbo?
Jimbo.
Should I trade Stevenson for JT? It's PPR, 7-1 record, good wide receivers, and my other running backs are Cook, Pierce, and
don't-
Dobbins
Don't do it. Don't trade
on the injured
Stevenson.
reserve.
Don't trade Stevenson for Jonathan Taylor.
No. Oh, and Jonathan Taylor was one of the guys that people were talking about. Should I trade DJ Moore for?
Are you feeling Jonathan Taylor right now?
I did like
Make your case. If you are.
Well, here's the thing: is I need to look at some schedules. JT, he's out this week, but we expect him back very soon.
Two
right?
words for you. Mm-hmm. Sam Ellinger.
And that is a compelling case, sir.
I'm just like, so, you know, I said, you and I were talking earlier about Deion Jackson and how I was slow on him this week. I didn't jump on it. I knew I should have picked him up on Wednesday, and I just didn't. The reason that I didn't is Sam Ehlinger, and because I'm just nervous about what their offense could possibly do. Because like Deion Jackson had 2 really good games with Matt Ryan as the quarterback. He caught a lot of passes. In one of those games, he caught 10 passes. He's definitely not going to do that again. So what really is the ceiling? And so when you think about it that way, the same thing is true for Jonathan Taylor. And you look at this first game with Sam Ehlinger, and it was a struggle.
Well, here, let me put it this way. So he's 7-1, so he's not doing it for the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks.
He's doing it for the rest of the season.
He's doing it for the end of the season, playoffs, whatnot.
Like they keep they're now finding reasons to keep Damian Harris inactive. It's weeks. At first, it was an injury that we thought was serious enough that he might go on IR, and it turned out it wasn't. It was because he practiced that very next week. And then there were rumors about him possibly playing in that Monday night game. And then he didn't play in the Monday night game. Actually, no, he might have actually played a couple snaps. But they're now at a point where they're politically saying all the right things that make you think that there's still a timeshare in New England. That timeshare is over. That job belongs to Ramondre Stevenson. Okay. And to me, he's top 10.
And let me throw out another point here. If he's got Ramondre Stevenson right now, he probably didn't draft him as a starter. He's probably got 2 people that at draft time were better than him. Yeah, if not now.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? There's different
maybe
builds.
Circumstances. You don't
probably,
know exactly
I'm
what
guessing.
happened.
And to be able to get a third running back there to go into your.
But what if he dropped? But what if his guys were like Najee and DeAndre Swift, and then Ramondre Stevenson?
So
in that case, are you trading Ramondre in that scenario?
Probably. Well, but then again, he's 7-1.
You're gonna trade.
He didn't get to be 7-1 with those backs.
He's got Ramondre, and Swift has
great for the last 2 weeks,
and he's got Ramondre St. Brown. He has good receivers. But anyway, we're getting lost on that one.
Well, I just want to say, to Ken, it's an automatic no. I am not nearly as high as Stevenson as he is.
I am. So
I honestly, I'd think I'd probably do that.
Rest of season,
I think I would.
I would rather have Ramondre Stevenson than Nick Chubb.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is just telling you how high he is on Stevenson. So
yeah,
maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, but he is.
I'd rather have him than Nick Chubb. I'd rather have him than Dalvin Cook. So
you're way higher than the market on Stevenson than most people.
Out of curiosity,
I'm top 10 on
maybe
him.
I'm so
closer to top 5. Why?
Ken,
have you not seen what he's done?
You probably know the answer to this. In our league, who has scored more points fantasy wise out of the 2 of you?
Me.
Okay. On DraftKings,
not by much.
On DraftKings, this guy.
I'm gaining on him. I'm gaining on him.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. He scored 200 points last week. I scored 125, and I'm still outscoring him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm gaining.
So what happens when I have 1 week?
I just think
here I come, brother. Here I come.
I think for
no
our
one's
viewers,
afraid of you.
For our viewers,
you have no quarterback. You have no tight end. You have no receivers. Your receivers are booty cheeks.
They definitely took a downturn this week. That's for sure.
Dude, it's not just this week. It's been trending for a while. Your
they'll
number
be
one
good
receiver is now Terry McLaurin.
Right. Which is a good matchup this week. But.
I'll trade you Brady for him.
Okay. And anybody out there who's running to the championship with Terry McLaurin as their number one receiver this year? Anybody? No, didn't think so.
Hey, Keenan Allen's coming back eventually someday.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about your other receivers. Keep going so people can laugh.
No. We just needed a score so they can fundamentally make a decision when they're deciding whether or not to listen to Brian or listen to Ken.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, my team's 6-2, and I beat him. So
Yep. And I'm 4-4 in gaining. And as we discussed
Yeah,
last
he's
week,
got. Hey, he's had some moral victories.
moral victory.
Well,
Wow.
and he's doing better than us in DraftKings. So we'll throw that out there too. All right. So going into our first game, it looks like
While
we're all-
playing Stevenson a bunch of times, by the way.
When he was
Oh
cheap.
shoot!
Anyway. He was dirt cheap. He's nowhere near my lineup this week.
All right.
That
So
seems like a mistake. He's still cheap. He's still only 6,200. Anyway,
So first game up, we have Chargers at the Atlanta Falcons. Chargers -3. Over under is at 49.5. If you're betting on the Chargers, you're at -150, and you're betting on the Falcons, you're at +130. All righty, guys, go.
we might get Cordero Patterson back, so all of a sudden the Falcons running backs, like, not that they were great, but at least you could start Tyler Algier. And now if Cordero Patterson plays on Sunday, I don't think you can start anybody.
And on the other side of the ball, you've got Keenan Allen, who's going to be out. You've got Mike Williams is going to be out. I
Josh
mean,
Palmer is still up in the air because he's still
Right.
he was in the concussion protocol. He might not play on Sunday, so
So then what?
it
You know what I
might
mean?
just be DeAndre Carter.
Which is absolutely. And Herbert is a great quarterback, but man, I mean, is he going to be able to run that?
I mean, he's still got Austin Eckler.
Yeah, and Austin Eckler is going to have a.
Sorry, guys.
And if you've seen Austin Eckler's receiving numbers this year,
Oh yeah, no, he's fantastic.
yeah,
he's
he's,
amazing.
he's
I
a
think
top 20
the-
wide receiver.
Isn't he the number one running back right now?
It's
and
because
it's
it's
all
because
on
of
his
receiving.
receiving, yes.
Yeah. So Eckler is going to have a monster game. Like he's gonna touch
I
the
agree.
ball somewhere around 30 times, and the Falcons probably aren't going to do a very good job of stopping him. I don't think. So I can see why, even with all those weapons missing for the Chargers, this game is still a 49.5 point over under.
Man,
And I'm
like this is one of those games that I hate. Like I feel like the Chargers are going to pull it out somehow. You know, they're the better team. And they're going to make it happen. That's what I feel like. But man, I keep listening to these receiving options and. Oh my goodness, how is this going to happen? And Atlanta is just a hard-playing team. I think I'm going to still pick the Chargers somehow, even though they're on the road. But this is what I'm super nervous about. If I'm betting on anything, I do not want to bet on this game on either side.
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with not wanting to bet on this game. This is like, it feels like a 50-50 game. Like the way that that Panthers Panthers Falcons game ended last week feels like exactly like something that can happen this week with these two teams, just because of how they've been getting it done, like both of them,
Yeah.
because just kind of find a way, you know. And because of that, I like the Falcons at home, actually.
I can see that. I can see that. Like I say, I'm going to stick with the Chargers. I just think the quality is going to win out somehow. But I'm very nervous about that one. So, but yeah, not a lot of fantasy implications in this one, really.
Not good ones, no.
Yeah.
So, you know, one thing I want to bring up is that the very first play from scrimmage last week for the Falcons was a design play for Kyle Pitts.
Okay. Finally.
And Mariota did throw the ball more in that game.
How many times do you have to know? Or
It was north of 25. Which,
Oh, okay. Well,
so it wasn't terrible.
That's actually a respectable amount.
And I think they're going to need to score points. So I actually like Drake London this
Ooh.
week. I like Kyle Pitts this week. I like this game to hit the over. I do.
Wow.
I'd like that to happen. I think that the defenses are bad. So I'm going to pick the Falcons. I'm going to pick the over. People shouldn't have to be starting Drake London.
No.
But Kyle Pitts, you should be starting Kyle Pitts. Which, you know, like I
throw
feel like
him in there and cross your fingers now?
It was
Yeah.
just. It's not though, because now he's trend. Like if you
He's
look,
had that one game.
it's not just one game. If you look at the last 4 games, he's got targets, he's got yards, he's got one game in the last 4 where he scored less than 10 PPR points.
So we all going.
So I think
we
we're
all
at a
going
point
Chargers?
now, like we can stop killing Kyle Pitts and we can be like, okay, well, you know, he did. So he's not going to challenge Travis Kelce for the number 1 overall tight end this year, like we drafted him to.
Right.
Are we all picking Chargers?
but we can start it.
He's picking Falcons.
No, I picked the Falcons.
Okay.
We're both picking the Chargers.
I get the lone wolf right off the bat again. Awesome.
Yep. And honestly, that's a good lone wolf. That's a good one.
So next up, we have Miami Dolphins at Chicago Bears. Miami's at -4. The over-under is at 45.5. And if you're betting on the Dolphins, you're at -195. And if you're betting on the Bears, you're at +165. Go.
Let the massacre begin. Like the Dolphins are just going to crush the Bears here. I see
At
that.
Chicago? Do you think it's going to be a crush?
I think Miami is a darn good team, man.
What was the over under? I'm sorry.
I think
45.5.
I'd smash the over on this one. I think
I would take that too. I agree with the over.
The Bears are showing signs of life.
Yep.
They put up 30 on the Cowboys last week, which that's the most points that anybody has scored against Dallas this year.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Justin Fields looks like he has command of the offense. Like I'm not saying the offense looks pretty. I'm not saying I'm impressed with like the pieces that are in it. Although they just got Chase Claypool, and I think that's going to help Darnell Mooney a lot. He looks in charge. He doesn't like. He looks like he knows what he's doing, and he looks confident. And the fantasy numbers are starting to show up. He scored more points than the previous week for 4 consecutive weeks now. He scored 20 or he scored, I think it was 19 points 3 weeks ago, 21 2 weeks ago, and then 30 last week. He's had 40 or more rushing yards, and I want to say like 6 consecutive games. I think Justin Fields has become. I just traded for him in Dynasty. I think he's becoming somebody you can count on at the quarterback position, like to be a difference maker, like not just get you done and get you by with 20 points, but
And honestly, I think
actual
this is going to be
difference
a big test for him this week because I think he's going to be playing from behind. I think that Miami offense is just a juggernaut right now.
oh yeah,
And they are going to be behind, and so can Fields, play that kind of game where he's throwing the ball and trying to catch up.
I
think
don't
that might be a
right
little.
now, I don't think we're worried about that right now. We're not worried.
but fantasy-wise,
we're not worried about winning games.
I'm not.
We're just worried about what he's going to do, and
Okay.
So he's going to have to throw the ball a lot, which is what you want.
Yeah. So if you're just saying fantasy-wise, you're right. I really like Justin Fields this week. Don't get me wrong. Fantasy-wise, I do. But real world football wise, I think he's going to get a little bit exposed this week, as that he's not going to be able to keep up.
That Miami defense is not anything compared to the Dallas defense.
I agree, but I don't think. I think Chicago's style of offense just is not going to be able to keep up with the Miami style of offense. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and I'm just visualizing it. I don't disagree.
Right.
I don't disagree with that take at all. What I think though is that the Dolphins seem to just kind of like play up or play down to people. That seems to be who they are right now. They're not a team that's necessarily dictating the pace of games.
I feel like whenever they've had Tua, that's not the case.
They got down 14-0 to the Lions last week.
That was early. That was very early first quarter.
but
I watched that. I watched a lot of that game. I saw how it was done. It was kind of fluky.
They got down 20 to the Ravens. Like they're a team. They can blow teams out, but for some reason they don't. And it's because they're not solid on defense.
No, I agree with the defense part.
I think the Bears are going to be able to move the ball. I don't think that Chase Claypool is going to do anything noteworthy this week. Although for me personally, it did move the arrow up on Darnell Mooney.
I agree with that. I think that honestly, Claypool probably helps Mooney more than anybody else on that team, fantasy wise. Mm-hmm. I do agree with that. And to finish up here, just Chicago wise, so you're starting Mooney, you're starting Herbert. Or not Herbert, Montgomery.
And you might start Herbert too, though.
You might have to start Herbert.
Herbert's been good enough. So here's the thing. In our league of record, this is my position that I'm in my flex. I have Tyler Algier currently. If Cordero Patterson is going to play on Sunday, I'm going to move off of him and I'm going to flex Herbert.
Okay.
So
yeah. It's right in that range,
and I feel confident that he's going to get me 10 plus points.
But do you feel confidence he can score more than 15?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh
Do
yeah.
you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Based on what I've
Without
seen,
injury?
based on what I've seen him do the last couple weeks against New England and Dallas, yes, Herbert is the more talented back. You've got a similar situation going on with him and Zeke, where people like they see the flashes from Herbert and they're like, why doesn't he get the ball? Why aren't they just giving him the ball? And there's reasons, and I don't have the same explanations that I do with the Pollard and Zeke situation as I do for this one.
Right.
But it seems to be a similar situation where he's got juice, and they're going to get him the ball. They just don't trust him to be the guy.
Yep. And then start everyone from Miami except maybe Gesicki.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be like Tyreek Hill has the best matchup according to PFF this week again for wide receiver cornerback matchups. He's gonna roast another guy on Sunday. So just like
And that might be a hot take because if you look at the DFS lineups and whatnot, like you look at it, like Hill is going up against a red matchup. He's
Yeah,
going up against a
and
bad
that's-
matchup. And so
but
that's a bit of an illusion. So start Hill with confidence.
yes, absolutely, and your DFS too.
Yep.
So we all going Dolphins?
Oh yeah.
All that to say, Brian was right at the beginning.
Now I would be. I would find it funny if the Bears won this game, though. I got to say,
I hope.
because then they'd be in contention, and they just sold their two best defensive players, and like. Anyway,
Go Bears, go.
go Bears, go! Those NFC North teams. How have the Packers not won more? Like
That's funny.
the Packers and the Vikings, the Packers and the Vikings, they're in such a weird situation.
We're one game from talking about Packers. So,
So this is perfect then.
so we got Panthers and Bengals before that.
Okay, let's talk.
So, yeah,
okay, let's talk about that first. Let's talk about
before
the
we
kitties.
segue into
Let's talk about the kitty cats.
Okay, so I know, right? We got the Panthers at the Bengals, plus 7.5 for the Panthers with the over under at 42.5. If you're betting on the Panthers, you're at plus 265, and if you're betting on the Bengals, you're at minus 320.
That Cincinnati defense is taking on water now. They just lost Cheeto Uzie for the
Yep.
season, for ACL injury.
Yep.
They're still missing DJ Reader up
Yep.
front. So I actually like Carolina this week. I like their chances to win. I don't think I'm picking them to win the game because I think that Burrow and
If they were at
Cincinnati-
home, I think I'd pick them. But on
oh
the
yeah,
road,
I agree with you.
But on the road, I don't.
Well, actually, you know what? So if they were at home, and if Joe Burrow wasn't coming off an embarrassing loss, like I really feel like he's just that kind of dude. Like he has the ability to just ultra get up for games. He does though. He just seems to do that.
He's on a controller team, so I don't think it makes sense.
He's on a controller team.
Now,
You
is
have
he going to be able to do
you
that
know what?
without Chase?
The listeners are going to need a list of your controller teams so that we know which
I think
ones they
during
are.
the off season,
Yeah, you're gonna
we
have to
can
come up
go
with
over
it,
a little
dude.
bit more theories part of the podcast than the actual. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah, so I still like the Bengals. I think they ran into a matchup buzzsaw on Monday night with the Browns. But I think they're going to have to win shootouts. So, I think you're really just going to want to pick people who are playing against the Bengals and pick the Bengals, in a lot of situations.
fantasy prospects on this game.
T. Higgins.
See, here's the problem: is that Joe Burrow is getting no time, and T. Higgins is fantastic when Chase is on the other side taking away the main coverage. T. Higgins with main coverage with Burrow with no time to throw, I don't know if that's a recipe for success or not. I'm not saying he's going to suck. I'd still start T. Higgins if I had him, but I wouldn't be super excited about it. I'd be a little nervous about it, honestly. I think Carolina defense is a sneaky little defense that, they're going to get some sacks. That offensive line for the Bengals is really bad. And you have to make sure you're taking that into account. And Deontay Foreman, Chua Hubbard is out again. So Deontay Foreman is a smash play.
Yeah.
Smash play. So make sure he's in your lineup if you were lucky enough to get him. And DJ
baby.
Moore, of course.
DJ Moore.
Is there anybody on that team other than those two, though?
Who bet on DJ Moore?
Who was that?
Who was that?
I don't even remember now.
He's one. He's
Oh,
one.
well, that's versus McLaurin. McLaurin's going to kick his ass. Don't worry.
He ain't doing it.
Right now? Where are they at right now?
They're close right now.
I was going to say, I bet they're close right now.
So, DJ Moore on the season,
And they're both in better situations now than they were 2 weeks ago, which is hilarious.
yeah, DJ Moore. Yeah, it is. It's funny. It's really funny. Is averaging 12 points per game this year. McLaurin
12.2. Oh, yeah. Something like that, I bet.
12.6.
Gotcha.
Yes. So yeah, it's really close. And I love them both. Like the rest of the season, I do. I
do too.
I love them both. Like, and honestly, like some of those bets that we have going on up there are getting really spicy.
They are pretty close.
Like the only one that I feel bad about right now is Lazard.
Yeah, I'm going to get that
But
one.
I like Garrett Wilson, and who did top McLaurin last week.
I'm not too worried about that one. But anyway, back to this matchup. So that's Carolina. You know, that's who you start there. Bengals.
Oh no, I'm sorry. There's one more. Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall is now getting over 90% of the snaps, and he was awesome last week. I think it was 9 targets, over 100 yards receiving. I think it was like 5 or 6 catches, but he was also a excellent start last week, and I think that's going to continue.
Okay, so he'd be like a flex consideration.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's a real like if you like this week is a great week. It's actually it's a super good start if you're in a pinch. Terrace Marshall this weekend against the Bengals. It's a really good matchup for them. They're hurting right now. I just mentioned they lost one of their best cornerbacks. And he looks pretty good. They liked him a lot, and he's the reason that they moved off of Robbie Anderson.
Okay. Well, I don't think it takes much to move off Robbie.
But
So
no,
everybody's taking
what I
Bengals?
mean is he plays that role. He's their speedster. He's
Yeah,
their
I think
deep
we're all
guy.
taking the Bengals, but reluctantly.
Yeah, I hope they lose. but I'm taking it.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Are we on the next game?
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. You're not going to take the Panthers after you talk all that shit about Joe Burrow?
No, because
that's
they're
cool.
also a
That's
controller
cool.
game.
That's fine.
Oh, the Panthers are also a controller team. Yeah.
Okay.
So you got 2 controller teams going against each other.
Oh.
You're going to pick the one with the winning record.
This is how you do it.
You guys are getting into a little bit of my method of madness.
This is the book.
So next up, we have the Green Bay Packers at the Lions.
All right.
The Green Bay Packers are -3.5. The over/unders at 49.5.
So those
If you're betting on the Packers, you're at -180, and if you're betting on the Detroit Lions, you're at +155. And we have one comment. Hopefully, someone picks New Orleans this week.
probably won.
And go.
So-
Yeah, actually, he was.
So what's up, buddy? Yeah, sorry about that. So those NFC North teams, they are so disappointing. Like it really feels like the Packers and the Vikings have like a Yankees Red Sox thing going on with their division, like where it's like every year it's just the Packers and the Vikings, and then the bottom of the division is chum, you know, and and this year it was exactly like it this year, because what'll happen a lot of times is like now this is a little bit of a digression, but I'll bring it around. In baseball, these lower teams will get towards the middle of the season. They'll see that they're out of it, and they'll be willing to sell their talent to the Yankees and the Red Sox in their division.
You know, that was one thing I didn't touch in the Homer Minute.
And then-
was how like nobody wanted to trade with the Rams, and it's like one of those. It was just funny to me, comical that nobody wanted to trade with them and it kind of has that vibe of because of what happened last year. Like they're like, nope, not going to trade to you.
Not
guys.
helping you out this year.
Yeah.
Your moves were too successful last year. But anyway, so the Packers and Vikings, you know, they're at the top of this division, where like at the bottom of the division, the Lions and the Bears are just providing them with wins every single year, making it like fluffing up their record and putting them in a position to be in the playoffs every single year. And this year they're like, hey, we got this superstar tight end. You want him? and the Lions just give up T.J. Hawkinson to the Vikings.
Yep.
And it's, what are you doing? You still have to play them this year.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Maybe they know how bad Hawkinson secretly is, and I don't know. That one was a surprise to me too.
Yeah, like.
I was like, woohoo!
And what did they get? It was like a pick swap or something, wasn't it? Like, wasn't it? I don't even think they got like a full blown second round pick out of the deal.
I can't remember, but I was definitely underwhelmed with what they got.
Yeah, me too. Like for what they got, I really felt like they should have just held on to him, rather than help
They're building. He's a young, good tight end.
Okay, so the reason for doing it is because they're not going to pay him. He's up for contract extension this year, and they're not going to pay him. So get an asset for him. I understand that. I get that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I didn't realize his contract was up this year.
Don't do it in your division. It absolutely come on. Don't help your divisional opponent get better this year.
Yeah.
And then how stupid are they going to look when the Vikings give him an extension? Because he has, when he has, I don't know, for the rest of the season catches 5 touchdowns for the rest of the season or something like that, and has another monster game, has a game-winning catch or something like that. Because he's going to help the Vikings for sure. For sure.
He's going to be good. Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm so mad at the Lions. I'm so mad at the Lions.
I definitely expected more of them this year. I thought they were just
such high hopes for them.
Yeah. And
got us again, Hard Knocks. Thanks.
Right? But after all that, this game, Packers and Lions at home, of course the Packers are going to win.
This game's awful.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, man, maybe
this game feels the Detroit's defense is so bad that
right.
the Packers are going to score. You think. But the Packers' offensive weapons have been so inconsistent
so bad
that you can't really guarantee that they're going to do it. And sneakily, the Lions are decent in pass coverage, so it's not a great matchup for the Packers receivers, and they're already not world beaters.
Right.
So I don't love much individually in this game, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of points scored.
Yeah.
It's really
What did you say the line was on this game, Ray?
Let me take a look. What are we looking at?
Sorry, the line on the Green Bay game, the Green Bay Lions.
What was the over-under on the Green Bay Detroit game?
Let me take a look here. My over under is 49.5, and the
and I think that
money
sounds about
line
right.
was minus 180 plus 155.
I do really like Aaron Rodgers in this game. I like Aaron Rodgers and Robert Tonyan in this game. The Lions are really bad against tight ends. And then the Packers are actually really bad against the run. They give up almost 1.5 yards before contact per carry. They've had 17 opportunity. They've had their opponent rush the ball inside the 5-yard line 17 times, and they've given up 8 touchdowns.
That's impressive.
So I like Jamal Williams in this week.
I can definitely see that. And there's a good chance Swift doesn't play. And if he does play, he's going to be limited.
Even if he plays.
That's what I'm saying. Even if he plays, it's going to be limited, and Jamal is going to get a lot of work.
Based on what Dan Campbell said last week, he thought that 5 carries was one too many for DeAndre Swift. I'm so glad I traded him in Dynasty. I'm so glad. I'm so happy I traded him away in Dynasty. And didn't really draft him anywhere else. But all that being said, I think the Packers are going to win this game. I think they have to win this game.
I think so too. And just before we get off the fantasy aspects of the Lions, St. Brown is going to be good. I think it's a good game for him. You could even start Goff. A little bit iffy, but I mean, if you're streaming quarterbacks, I think he's a decent one to stream this week. And just one of Khalif Raymond. He's going to be the number 2 for the Lions with the injuries that's going on. And the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been proven that he can do it. He's been averaging 9, 10, 11 points with decent amounts of targets. So if this is a game where the Lions are going to be behind, Khalif Raymond is somebody that I'd consider as well.
Super interesting.
Now, and that's more of a are you
DFS play.
well, for sure, DFS play, but also, it's the bye apocalypse. We've got 6 teams on bye, so like if you're desperate, if you need to slam somebody in there, I think this is somebody you can do.
He's one person you can lean to.
Yep.
You could cast your eye in his direction.
So we're all going Packers, right?
Reluctantly, again, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Detroit traded away.
The Lions have just burned me too many times this year. I have lone wolfed
Right.
on the Lions at least 3 times, and I've been wrong every time. And we're not doing it anymore. We're done.
Yeah.
But one more thing I want to say is that if the Packers lose this game, we're forking them. They're done. They done.
I agree.
I kind of want to see that happen. I don't think.
I agree with
I
that
kind
too.
of want to see it happen too. I'm just not ready to predict it
I want
they-
Rodgers to move on from that
because they still have
franchise.
Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is going to go Hamburglar in this game. I think. I don't see how that doesn't happen.
Definitely the best play on the Packer side.
Yeah.
All right. So next up we have. Hold on a second.
Oh yeah. You got to put some of these picks up here.
Next up we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
How about them Raiders? Did they play last week?
Yes, they did. Sort of. I mean, any one of us could have showed up for the Raiders and got paid millions of dollars to do the same performance. I think.
I love thinking about stuff like that. It's like, you know what? I could have played today. You would have got the same result.
Yep. We wouldn't have scored any points.
You know what? They should start doing that when the team's getting shut out or something like that in the middle of the fourth quarter. Just pull some fans out of the stands and let them play.
Something there's like sometimes when the receivers like just drop those wide open like balls that get passed to them. There's no. I'm just like, yep, I could have dropped that for
So,
3.5 million a year. I could drop that pass.
my
Like,
theory-
you're supposed to be a pro. Always catch that ball. Like.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's so many of those times where it's like they're looking upfield or like they're more worried about getting hit, and it's like, yeah. Anyway, my theory about the Raiders last week is that
Should I read this and then we can get into it?
Sure.
Give you the 4 minutes on there. Okay, so yeah, -2 on the Raiders. Over under is 47.5 and minus 130 if you're betting on the Raiders and plus 110.
47.5 for over.
47.5 for over under, yeah. Minus 130 if you're betting on the Raiders and plus 110 if you're betting on the Jags.
So I would bet the under on this game. Like the Raiders,
Really?
the Raiders offense just.
If they score 0, yeah.
If
the Jags have to
if
score
Josh
47.5
Jacobs
on
isn't
their
breaking
own.
off chunk runs, then they're not getting it done.
Now, have you heard anything about the Raiders locker room and this flu that was going through there last week?
And that's what I was going to talk about. Is like there's not a whole lot of information because the only person that the media seems to be focused on is Devontae Adams.
Right.
But there were a couple other guys that were listed as out with illnesses going into the game, and so what I think happened is the team just got sick.
Yeah, no, it seems like it.
And which is just it's terrible, and like you wish you'd known like the morning of, oh yeah, these they've been sick all week, because then you could have just run to the the nearest bookie and or get it on your MGM bets or whatever it is,
Depending on what state you're
depending
in.
on where you live, and bet on the Saints. Because that that would have been fairly predictable, and like there was a play in particular that let me know that they were just off, and it was like it was early in the game. This is funny too because they didn't cross midfield until like halfway through the fourth quarter, something like that.
I remember hearing that.
This play that I'm talking about right now, they were at midfield.
Okay.
Okay, so they were at midfield, and Devontae Adams gets called for an illegal shift, and on the play, like he's in motion, and he just doesn't get set. He just doesn't get set, and it's just when I saw that, I was like, you know what? That just reminded me of like those days where like you're sick and your body just hurts, and you just like leaning over to pick things up and stuff like that is a chore. That's how he looked. Like he And so if that's going, and these guys spent a lot of time together.
Absolutely.
If the illness was going around,
In a plane, all that stuff.
there's a good chance that they were just not feeling well, and that's what it looked. And that's what it looked like, because it was inexplicable that they got shut out by the Saints. That was completely unpredictable, and I don't think it's going to continue.
Yeah, and I think that illness had a lot to do with it. My guess is they're probably healthier, or at least a lot healthier this week.
I expect them to bounce back. Is my
Yeah,
point.
and that's why I was surprised you picked the under on this one. Honestly, I see a lot of points getting scored in this one. I think the Raider defense is just really bad. So on the Jacksonville side, I'm willing to start Kirk, which is something that I haven't been willing to start. Something I haven't been willing to do lately. I think that Evan Ingram is a very good start. The Raiders' defense against tight ends is absolutely horrible. And I think Travis Etienne is just going to be fantastic in this game. And I think, again, if you're looking for streamers, that Trevor Lawrence is somebody that you can stream this week.
Yeah, he's a good one. Actually, the Raiders have given up 17 or more fantasy points in 4 point per passing touchdown leagues in every game so far. 17 or more points to their quarterback, to the opposing quarterback. So if you need to stream a quarterback, and this week, who's
Like I was streaming, I was deciding. Just me personally, I was deciding between Goff and Trevor Lawrence, and I just picked up Trevor Lawrence and dropped Goff today, and made my decision. So that's the way I chose that. Now I think Trevor Lawrence is probably your number 10 quarterback on your board this week, which means that if you're streaming quarterbacks, he's probably the guy you want to go for.
Who you guys picking?
I'm going to take the Jags.
I'm going to take the Raiders.
Ooh, Ken's got another lone wolf game.
Oh, I can't get one.
Yeah, the Jaguars, they're really interesting because they've jumped out in front of a couple of teams now and just not been able to hold on to the momentum. And I don't really know what that. I think my thoughts are that leans towards coaching, because it's it's one side making adjustments, and the other side not making proper adjustments.
Yeah, and it could be youth as well.
It could be.
Jaguars are
They're very
definitely
young.
young.
But I think that's going to happen again. That's my prediction, is that I think the Jaguars are going to get up on them, and I think the Raiders are going to pull this one out. I think it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Honestly.
I think it's one of those games that it could. And this is one of those games that is going to hit the over in the last 30 seconds. Like the final score.
So so take the over.
It could, or the kicker could miss.
Right. Yeah, there's been a lot of that lately.
And I'm going to bet on the kicker missing because it's fun. So yeah, I'll take the Raiders.
All right, moving on. We got the Colts at the Patriots.
Oh, real quick, Jaguars are sneaky good on rush defense, so temper expectations for Josh Jacobs again this week.
Good point.
So we have Colts at the Patriots. Colts at plus 5.5. The over/under at 40. And if you're betting on the Colts, plus 205. And if you're betting on the Patriots, minus 245.
You guys remember a few weeks ago when we were looking at picking the Patriots, and I think they were 1-3 or they were 1-4 or something like that. And I asked you that question. I was all, can we really see the Patriots, just falling apart? And this happened to Bill Belichick, and lo and behold, here they are.
Lo and behold, he's 50-50.
They're 4-4, and with a plus matchup right now. I expect them to win this game.
Mac Jones is back,
and they've got a good schedule in the second half of the season. I think the Patriots are going to make a push towards the wild card again.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where we expected their ability to be this year, right?
I still think they finish higher than the Dolphins do.
Oh no! Can I put that on the board? I want to bet on that.
You sure can.
Oh, I love it. All right, cool. One more?
No. I knew you would try. But we're gonna get a smoked Bowmore up there for sure. All right. For those of you who don't know, we like to make bets against each other that result in the loser taking a shot. We have a really, really terrible whiskey called Bowmore.
Expensive.
It's terrible yet expensive. Yeah. So don't. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna try it to see how bad it is. No, don't do that because it's not worth it. So when we really feel strongly about a bet, we'll challenge the other person to take a Bowmore. And tonight, I've come up with a fantastic idea of smoked Bowmores, as one of our favorite things to do is to use a smoker to add some smoke flavor to our alcohol. So we'll get a smoked Bowmore bet going on.
We'll get a good one here.
So one of the things
You put it on. Oh yeah, it is the season long. Okay, cool.
piggybacking off that, yeah, we do like to try a lot of different types of whiskeys and, well, alcohol in general. And so the Bowmore was brought as something we should try, right? And that's what we came up with. So if what you guys are drinking, let us know in the comments what you guys are drinking. We certainly would like to know if there's some shelf suggestions, some really regular guy type stuff out there that we can try.
Regular guys.
Because we're just regular guys. That's right.
Just a couple of dudes.
So back to the and today we're drinking.
Did we have a couple of questions there? Or?
We do have a question, and we'll get to it after the Colts Patriots.
We'll get to you.
Coming soon.
Segment.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can cut this short because this Colts Patriots game. There's not much. to
We're all
talk
picking
about.
the Patriots, right?
Take the under.
We just made a bet, and that was the most exciting thing that was going to happen in this discussion. Because we talked about Ramondre Stevenson earlier, and I'm really really high on him.
And you talked about Dion on the other side.
And yes, and I'm really terrified for Michael Pittman now.
I am too, and I have Pittman in a lot
And
of places.
honestly, I do too. And I went back and I looked at his statistics for the season. And even before Ellinger, he's averaging like 10 yards a catch.
No, Matt Ryan has been completely disappointing in that offense.
I'm just
we
saying.
expected way more out of Matt Ryan.
I'm just saying, like, it wasn't good with Matt Ryan, and I don't like.
It was decent, and now it could
Maybe
get worse.
it gets better with Sam Ellinger, but it's like that's where you're at. You're kind of praying, you're praying it doesn't get worse because it's been
it's
bad.
gonna get worse. Yeah,
and I agree. I think it's going to get worse.
it will.
Yeah, and I think this is an ugly game. I think this is
And Pittman's still somebody that you're probably starting. You know what I mean? He's definitely like if you're starting 3 receivers, there's no way you can leave him off.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean.
I'd be trying
he's
to
in there.
trade him.
But
I've been trying to trade him in one of my leagues, and that was when things were sunny. I was trying to trade him, so it's not like you're gonna be able to pull off anything great. But maybe you could get honestly, I'd rather have Garrett Wilson rest of the season.
I don't know about that. But,
So and I'm serious though. I'm serious.
I wish I had Garrett Wilson to trade you.
I'd
make that trade
because the Zach Wilson we're coming up on this next. The Zach Wilson jokes are funny. But if you look at what he's done, he's been good for fantasy. He threw for over 340 yards last week, and he did produce for his.
Let me sorry, just before I forget, I think that that Zach Wilson is Blake Bortles.
I don't. That's not
I
fair.
think no,
that's
like
not fair at all.
Blake Bortles makes some great plays.
Okay, stop.
He
Stop.
had some
Okay,
good- hold on, let me finish my thought. Let me finish. Now, like he's one of those guys that could make plays. He had tremendous upside. You know what I mean? He could score some touchdowns, but man, he made some dumb, boneheaded plays that would just cost them the game all the time. And that just seems to be what Zach is to me. What do you think?
Now let's hear this anger.
I once saw Blake Bortles throw an interception when he tried to throw the ball at the ground.
Didn't Zach Wilson do that this week?
He did try to throw the football away. But if you listen to Amari Cooper, throwing the football away is harder than you think. But no, that being said, no. He tried to Blake Bortles threw the ball. It was a dead screen. It was one of those plays where it was supposed to be a screen, but the defense had blown it up.
Right.
And so he tried to throw the ball at the foot of his running back, and it bounced off of the toe of the defender and got caught by another defender. Right. And that was the kind of stuff that would happen to Blake Bortles. And I never really saw, and we're still really early in Zach, like the life
We
of
are,
Zach
for
Wilson.
sure.
Like because he was injured last year. He missed like all the preseason this year because of that knee injury.
Yeah.
Like he just hasn't had enough time. But to me, he's shown a lot of flashes. So
He does have flashes.
I'm not looking
Good and
when,
bad.
when I'm watching Zach Wilson this year. I'm not expecting him to be like. I didn't expect from Zach Wilson this year what I expected from Trevor Lawrence. And to me, he looks better than Trevor Lawrence.
Do not agree there. And I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence looks great. Don't get me wrong.
Trevor
but-
Lawrence
but Zach Wilson
Trevor
has
Lawrence
just had too
looks
many
very
really bad moments.
Trevor Lawrence looks very robotic to me. You know who you know who Zach Wilson reminds me of?
Blake Bortles.
No, he reminds me of Brett Favre before
Wow. Okay.
before Brett Favre was an MVP.
that just shows the difference in opinion between the
Like-
two of us.
Brett Favre, he was talented, and he had flashes where he showed poise, where he showed intelligence, where he showed physical skill, and then man, he would just fuck up. He would just and like bad. You like seriously look at something like if Brett Favre had been drafted in 2013, he wouldn't have made it.
All right. And just to end this really quick, I would say that maybe in the future, Zach Wilson turns into Brett Favre, but right now.
I'm not
right
trying
now,
to say
he's
that.
Blake
I'm
Bortles.
just saying, no, that's not fair.
That
That's
is fair.
It's not fair. Blake Bortles.
All right, let's move on.
Like, there's three plays in my mind that Zach Wilson has put on tape this year that.
Yeah, but there were 3 plays last week that made
But-
him look like the worst quarterback in football.
And
So-
Brett Favre used to do that all the time. Like it was fun.
How many?
Like
I'm just curious.
It was fun.
I know. Brett Favre has at least one Super Bowl. Does he have 2?
no, he went to
one?
2.
He went to 2,
He went to
okay.
back-to-back Super Bowls and he won one. He won the first one.
Do we want to get to this question?
Yes. We're
Okay,
sorry.
so we have Isadav, which I believe is new to our YouTube.
Welcome.
I traded Lenny for Cooks. Was that a dub or W? Is what he
Cooks.
yeah, in my mind, I consider
Wait,
that.
what?
Leonard Fournette.
He
for,
put Lenny for Cooks. So that's
Yeah.
what-
So Leonard Fournette for Cooks on from Minnesota.
No,
what I'm-
Dalvin Cook
Oh,
is
Cook.
If it was Dalvin Cook
No, Cooks. He has an S there.
for Brandon Cook.
well, he's not trading for Brandon Cooks though.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Like,
what I'm
no,
saying. That's
if
gotta
it-
be Dalvin
If
Cook.
it was for Dalvin Cook, yay!
Right.
And if it was for Brandon Cooks,
What the hell?
no.
No. Should have listened last week.
He said, "Yeah, Dalvin Cook."
Dalvin
Yeah,
Cook,
okay,
yay!
yes,
Yes,
great
yay,
deal.
great
Great deal. Well done.
Fantastic.
Okay, so are we moving on to the next game?
Let's do it.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
we all picking Patriots?
I guess.
Yeah.
I
mean,
guess.
I don't want to. I really don't want to.
wearing my Brady jersey tonight. You know.
Yeah, we were talking about the Patriots, though.
Yeah, Mr. Patriot, Tom Brady.
Okay, you want to call him that, that's
Whatever.
fine.
He still is.
Yeah, I mean, and Manning was Mr. Colt, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But
Yeah, he
yeah.
still is.
Yep. So next matchup we have the Bills at the Jets. The Bills are at minus 11.5 with the over under at 46. And if you're betting on the Bills, minus 625, which is the largest that I've seen tonight. And if you're betting on the Jets, plus 470.
Real quick, before we talk about this game, the guy who got Dalvin Cook, the Vikings were load managing Dalvin Cook for the first stretch of the season. That seems to have changed the last couple of weeks. He's been over 75% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. The last 2 games, excuse me.
It's felt like they're saving him for later.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
I think they're ramping him up now because he also had 6 targets in the last game. So I'm super excited to have him in the Megalo Bowl.
Oh yeah.
I did trade away CMC in that deal. That was before the trade. That was like it was hours before the trade.
Oh, hours before. Ouch.
And but I also got Marquise Brown. I got Cook and Marquise Brown in the deal. Anyway, Jets versus Bills. I actually super like this game. I can't wait to watch this game.
Now, to me, this might be a sneaky under. It feels like
It is,
the Bills
for sure.
are always
What's the
going to be
over-under? I'm sorry?
that over game. But
46.
yeah,
Under for sure.
Yeah, I think these are two really strong defenses that are going to show out a little bit.
They play Josh Allen tight.
Yeah.
Last year, the 3 games Josh Allen disappointed the most in were the Blizzard game against the Patriots and then the 2 Jets games. He did not play well against the Jets last year.
Yep. So sneaky under. You're still going to play all your Bills. Singletary is one of those guys. If you can maybe get him out of there, if he's somebody that you're kind of
I don't know
popping
about
in and out of your
honestly,
lineup, maybe you can.
This week I
go
kind of
out.
like him.
Really against the Jets
This week I kind of like him because
because you think it's going to be a tight game.
They had a midweek trade that moved the Zach Moss out of town. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that at least not this week. Nyheim Hines is going to he's going to get most of the work. I think he's going to get more work than he usually does.
Was Moss getting any work though?
Yeah.
I felt like
he was still
only
playing. He was still playing 30% of the snaps.
Was he? Okay. I didn't think it was that much. I hadn't looked it up, but it felt like he had very much dropped off to nothing.
Yeah. No. But he was still getting an annoying amount of work.
Just enough to be annoying.
Yes.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't hate Singletary this week, but I think he definitely took a hit for the rest of the season because I think they really like Nyheim Hines.
Now, I would say temper your expectations a little bit on the Bills. That Jets defense is good, but you're still going to start all your Bills.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you had an opinion on
don't get
McKenzie,
cute.
right?
Yeah. So looking at the PFF wide receiver cornerback matchups, Isaiah McKenzie has a really good matchup this week. And actually, Stephon Diggs, his individual matchup isn't that bad. The stud receivers that the Jets have been good, but the receivers who've got 10 plus targets against the Jets have all had success. They've all scored touchdowns. So,
but everybody's starting Diggs. But
yes,
but to put McKenzie in your lineup is a bit of a ballsy move for most people.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't do it. He has a good matchup, but because I don't expect this game to hit the over, I don't want to play him.
Okay, that's a good take.
Yeah, when players have good matchups and there's going to be a lot of points, that to me that's a real red flag. I should be watching that player. Or green light sounds better because it's you definitely want to go after those types of situations. But when it's in an under, I still just want to play the studs.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be too many points,
and maybe you're in a bipocalypse situation, and you need to put him in. And in that case, hey, go for McKenzie because he's got a good matchup. But be careful.
I said this last week. Garrett Wilson. I think this is the time.
Okay, well, and just to lead that off, I'm looking at the Jet side, and I can't think of a Jet that I want to start.
Garrett Wilson.
Maybe Michael Carter if you have to, but even then, I'd be looking to get him out of my lineup.
Here's an idea. Garrett Wilson.
So from the guy saying that nobody, tell me about Garrett Wilson.
Well, I mean, Garrett Wilson is a stud. He is the next superstar receiver. I think we haven't got a chance to see Jameson Williams yet, and we won't get to see John Mechie until next year. Mechie was the guy who won, I believe he was the most outstanding receiver this year. I think he won the Blitnikoff Award. I'd have to double check that, but I think he did. And he's the one that had cancer. Yeah. So
I've got him sitting on my IR. I know.
Yeah. Me too in Dynasty.
Yep, me too.
So don't know about those two guys, but of all the guys that have been drafted, Garrett Wilson looks the best. He looks not only like he has the ability to run routes, but he's got the physical gifts. He's just because he's big, and with everything that's going on in New York, that's where they're going to go with the ball. Corey Davis is still hurt. Elijah Moore has put himself on the outs.
Right.
And Denzel Mims is a question mark.
Right, but doesn't that mean that
he's another player that I like? He's got physical tools, and I've not understood why he hasn't spent more time on the field. But I don't think he's really a threat to go off at this point. But anyway,
but isn't that an alarm bell for you for Elijah Moore, in that the defense is going to be able to tee off on him?
He was still on the field.
He's the only receiver. You know what I mean? he's going to get more targets than anybody else. I agree.
No,
but are they
still-
going to be
they still have
valuable
other
targets?
guys. I mean, so they're gonna like this week. The Jets are gonna line up with Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Denzel Mims, and Braxton Berrios at receiver. So it's not like they don't have anybody.
I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. Sorry.
It could be worse. They could have Deontay Johnson.
What? that would like multiply their receiving core value by 100. Come on.
There's
now.
no way I would take Deontay Johnson over Garrett Wilson.
Well, we need to see more Garrett Wilson to see if he's lives up to your hype there. But
Like, go back and look
as
at
of right now,
Okay.
I'll take Deontay Johnson.
anybody like who's curious is like Garrett Wilson wants to know. Go back and look at his touchdown against the Browns. The week 2 touchdown against the Browns at the goal line. And that's the thing is like that is the if you can get open at the goal line, like that's special. That's so hard to do.
Oh, for
and,
sure.
And he just I don't and the Browns are not a bad defense. And I can't remember who the defender was, but it was one of the best fade routes I've ever seen. And it's so funny because the fade route is such a basic route at the goal line. But he ran that route so well. He did such a good job of making the defender think that he might go inside that like he fell down. Defender fell down, and Garrett Wilson was wide open for a touchdown in the corner of the end zone. And it's just you just don't see it.
As a defender, that's not something you want on film, by the way.
No, and but just that it's a touchdown in the NFL today that you don't see.
Yeah.
You just don't see that very often.
All right, man. I remain to be convinced on that one, but let's go.
And it's
Are we all
Wilson
picking
and Wilson.
Are we all picking the Bills?
I'll pick
Oh,
the
yes.
Jets. What?
Are you picking the Jets?
No, I'm not.
He wants to.
I want to. I love him so much.
It's funny.
So time in. All right. So next game up, we have Vikings at Washington Commanders. Vikings -3, which I'm a little surprised about. Over under at 43.5. And if you're betting on the Vikings, you're at -165. And if you're betting on the Commanders, you're at +140. And I just kind of expected the Vikings to be more favored than that against the Commanders.
And I can understand that. I'll say that the Commanders have been playing, better lately, and they're at home. And everybody thinks that the Vikings are a bit of a mirage, a bit of an illusion that their 6-1 record isn't quite real. I think that's a pretty common perception, and I think the 6-1 might be a little bit inflated, but I think they're a decent team. Do I think they're elite? Probably not. But they're really good.
That's something people feel like I think every season with the Vikings since Kirk Cousins took over, and
Right.
It's
just the
weird
primetime
is-
games. Is like Colin Cowherd said, it's just the primetime games that really he struggles. Other than that, I mean,
He's solid.
Yeah.
And
a
now
solid
with T.J. Hawkinson in there, another prime weapon. Like
I don't expect
maybe-
much from him this week.
Not this week. No, not this week. But rest of season.
Oh yeah, rest of season. I
Rest
think
of
he's great.
season, he's probably looks
He's
good.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But
I,
if
what's
you
really
have
funny
him,
to me
try
right
not
now
to
about
start
the
him this
Vikings
week.
I'm
is
still
that
gonna start
I feel like
I am too in one of my leagues, but
if
it's
the
'cause I have no
Vikings
choice.
were, I feel like if the Vikings were 4-3, people would feel better about them. People would have more positive feelings about what they were doing than their them being 6-1 because
Everyone just feels they're overperforming.
yes, they feel like that they're about to crash.
Right.
Because they've come close to losing a couple of games.
But not this one.
But to what I see is a team that's getting it done, even though they're not clicking on all cylinders yet. Like,
But they're getting better.
Yes, they are, and they are.
And those cylinders are starting to come together, and it's like, ooh, this could be scary.
yes,
You know what I mean?
this is
If
it's starting a little bit to look like the fantasy, ungodly show that people were expecting it to be.
Cook,
at the beginning
Jefferson,
of the year.
Hawkinson. Like, dude, at the end of the year, that could be an amazing freaking trio. Like,
know.
woo, baby.
Yeah.
So I take Minnesota here. I like the weapons, not Hawkinson yet, but he's just going to be, coming in there. But I love Cook. I love Jefferson. You can play Thielen, but, you don't have to.
This is a week where you might actually be able to skip that. Like, this might be the one where you play KJ Osborne instead of Thielen, because Thielen actually has a tough matchup, according to PFF. When I saw that, I took him out of my
DFS lineup because I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking this is a good game to stack. Terry McLaurin is criminally underpriced this week.
Agreed.
And
getting to the other side, McLaurin is
he's
the
guy you
obvious
wanna-
play.
and Gibson.
And I was going to say, is there anybody else? And Gibson was my only other
yeah,
thought.
you
You know what I
could
mean?
play
I think
Antonio
most people
Gibson.
are going to be very
It's so
reluctant
weird.
to play Gibson.
It's so weird because as soon as Brian Robinson got activated, he just got dropped everywhere. He got
because
you dropped
he was
him too.
He was on the outs with the team.
Yes, no, agreed.
Yeah.
Totally agree. But completely contradictive to like what you would have thought. He's gotten better. He's scored more points since Brian Robinson took over the main running back job. And you know what it makes me think of? Tony Pollard.
Well,
And here's the super interesting thing about that. They were college teammates, him and Antonio Gibson. They both went to Memphis. They were both receivers, not running backs.
right.
And when you see Gibson, he looks good when he's running routes. He's a fluid route runner. And not asking him to carry the ball 25 times or like touch the ball 25 times a game and play 80% of the snaps keeps him fresher.
Yeah. Give him the 15 touches.
Which is also why I brought up Tony Pollard, because it seems
Right.
like a similar situation. Like sometimes less is more.
Yeah, it seems like they found out that Gibson is the better back, at least for now. Maybe Brian Robinson will recover.
I think
and
he's
get
got more
better.
tools.
But yeah,
I think he's like.
But I will say one thing that you have to caution yourself here is McKissick is out. And so Gibson has that receiving back role.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when McKissick comes back, like, is he going to take back some of that role? And if so, then where does that leave Gibson? Gibson?
McKissick hasn't been out. He's going to be out this week.
He's been out the last 2 weeks, I think. Or at least hurt or injured or something. All right, I'm going to look that up because I thought there was something going on with him where he had some problems. But anyway, as far as the game is concerned, like we've pretty much covered the game, and I think we're all taking the Vikings here. Yeah.
Yes.
I am. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I can't pick the Commanders. Like someone said something on one of the podcasts. It was like the Commanders just feel like a team that should be 1-7, don't and I fully expected them to be there. Yeah, McKissick's been available the last couple weeks. He played 36% of the snaps against Indy, and 15 against Green Bay, and 30 against Chicago, and 41 against his. So he's been trending down.
Okay.
And I think
so he hasn't been hurt. He's
and
been
so
trending down.
And
Okay.
to me, that's because
Gibson has turned into that receiving role.
Gibson,
Okay.
because
That gives
Gibson's-
me more confidence in Gibson, honestly.
Here's
that.
here's what I see about Antonio Gibson. I think I really do feel like it's exactly like Tony Pollard, where as nice as it would be if he could perform at his highest level for 28 touches a game,
He just can't.
He just can't, and it's not going to happen. Just fucking appreciate the 15 he's going to give you.
Okay.
And so he's like, so I think for their careers, they're going to be RB2s, flexes.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to
I
be.
want to thank you. You've helped sell me on Gibson there, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have the Seahawks at the Cardinals. Seahawks are at +2 with the over-under of 49, plus 105 if you're betting on the Seahawks, and minus 125 if you're betting on the Cardinals.
Whew, I just want to throw out here that this is one of those games. Like, the Seahawks are playing better than the Cardinals. They just are.
The Seahawks are playing better than a lot of people.
The Cardinals, I feel they have a lot more talent than Seattle.
I disagree.
And they're at home. So
Seahawks at +2, like that just seems easy.
it seems like you should just be taking the Cardinals, but
No,
I think you should be taking the Seahawks.
I'm on
this.
Seahawks.
there you go. I'm going to take the Cardinals. I think
Lone
that
Wolf.
There it is.
I think that talent is going to win out here
Get the
again.
lone wolf on Kyler Murray.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Why do you think they're more talented?
I think Seahawks
Where?
are playing over their
Where?
head.
At what position do you think they're more talented?
Quarterback for sure. Number one
At the
wide
beginning of the
receiver.
season, I would have said that.
At the beginning of the season, I would have said that too.
Yeah.
But
Geno has definitely had his moments this year. And
Kyler
he's
Murray
definitely
looks like-
playing over his head. But
Kyler Murray doesn't
Murray
look
is freaking great.
He's a talented guy, but he never looks like he's in command. Like his best,
I will agree with that.
His best plays
Is he is-
remind me of Russell Wilson's best plays, where they're busted plays where it's like they should have got, how did they not get him?
Yeah.
And then he finds somebody, or he just
Or
continues.
he runs
running,
in the end
you
zone
know?
or whatever. Yeah.
But I never get the feeling that Kyler is just killing people back there, ever. And what I think of is the most effective that I've ever seen him be was when they were playing the Cowboys, and the Cowboys couldn't stop their RPO,
Okay.
and he just kept beating them with the and I think the league is getting better about that. We can have a digression on that. It's actually been super interesting. So the RPO is a relatively new adaptation to NFL offenses. Last 5-6 years, maybe like
5 to 10. Yeah.
5 to 10, somewhere in 5 to 10.
Yeah.
I think that we're now getting to a point where it's going to stop being as effective as it's been, because you're now like the defensive ends.
I would
now,
say depending on the quarterback. I agree with your
so
point.
here's let me here's why I say this, and I've seen it from multiple defensive ends this year. It requires an edge rusher that's athletic enough. So it's a new wrinkle in what it takes to play defensive end in the NFL. But what it is that I've seen is they are dictating to the quarterbacks where the quarterback is going to go when they are in an RPO. And if the defensive end is athletic enough, he can fake. He can, because the reason that play has worked, it's been so successful, is that the defensive player can't win. He's not athletic enough to beat the athletic quarterback. When the athletic quarterback goes inside and the defender crashes down on the quarterback, he throws the ball. When the defender goes wide, the running, or he's able to just run the ball. So what I've seen is defenders fake like they're going wide, get the quarterback to keep the ball, and then crash down on him. But it takes more athletic players to do it.
Right.
But I've seen it a couple of times this year.
But there's
So
only
I-
so many players that can do that.
My point is that I think that the quarterbacks that are successful, like mainly based on stuff like that, and this is Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, I think that there's a window. I think that's going to end. And
Okay.
it's the NFL is amazing, honestly,
It's
because
self-correcting. I get it, and I love that, but I don't think right now we're at that point.
No.
In this particular game, like I say, I think that the Cardinals are still just putting better quality of players on the field. Now, maybe they're being outcoached, and maybe Pete Carroll outcoaches them and gets a win on the road here. I like, this is a 50-50 game to me, where I'm leaning on the talent side. But like I say, sorry, and sorry, real quick, Arizona, you're starting your quarterback.
yeah,
You're starting Hopkins, and other than that, there's not really much you're starting. Maybe
the running back
maybe
situation,
Rondell Moore. If
the
you're
running back
desperate.
situation in Arizona has gotten weird, so we don't really know.
just stay away from that.
Yeah, hands off for a while. And really, it just seems like hands off until James Conner is officially like back. You know, because Anyway, I think this could potentially be a high scoring game because the Seahawks are going to be on the road. I think if it was in Seattle, I'd have no problem, like picking the Seahawks to like hold the Cardinals under 20 points like they did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is that these teams
Held them
are
to 9. Yeah.
helped 9 points. So I don't expect that to happen again, but I do think Seattle's the better team.
Yeah.
So-
Could be.
So moving on,
I
looks
like them a lot, dude. I think they're going to challenge San Francisco for the division.
They're a
think so,
fun
too.
team.
Next up, we have Rams at the Buccaneers. Rams are at +3 with the over/under at 42.5. If you're betting on the Rams, you're at plus 125, and if you're betting on the Buccaneers, you're at minus 145. And Ken is wearing his Buccaneers Brady jersey today. Maybe I will be the lone wolf on this game.
Well, why don't you start it off then, Ray? Do you have any thoughts you want to share?
You know what? The only thought for both these teams, this is going to be like, are you a playoff contender game?
Well, the
right
Rams
now?
technically can still like afford another loss. The Buccaneers are the team that has to win. They cannot get loss number 6. I think both teams. Honestly, what I expect is both teams to come out and play their best game offensively.
I agree.
I think, and a big reason that I expect that out of the Rams this week is because the Bucs lost Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett's done for the year. Torn Achilles.
Ooh.
Yeah, it really sucks. It really sucks because it's like
Career ender.
It's not a career ender.
Well,
but
probably.
remember it happened to Terrell Suggs, and he was still good afterwards.
But you'll never
he wasn't
ever be
the
the
same.
same. You
He
can't be the
wasn't
same.
the same. And that's one of those positions where it's just the explosion is so important, so important. It's everything. So yeah, I feel bad for him. But I think this game is going to be offense, not defense. I actually do. I expect both offenses to wake up this week. They have to. The most interesting thing to me going on fantasy-wise for either team is that the Buccaneers seem to have solved their deep threat problem with Mike Evans. He's
which, if you know Mike Evans' career, that's a little bit weird.
Yes, that's not his game. That's not. He's been mostly a possession guy, and now he'll run like he's a good intermediary route runner. So like he's good at getting chunk plays, but asking him to run 9 routes has never really been what they've asked him to do. So it's weird that they would ask him to do it in year 9.
Now
but my point in bringing that up is that the Buccaneers this year, they remind me of the 2020 Buccaneers, where if you remember, things didn't start out that well.
No.
And like
They had to get it together.
It took them a while to get it together. And like there was that prime time debacle against the Bears where Brady didn't know that it was 4th down and the game ended.
Oh yeah.
And at that point, when that happened, we were forking them.
Right.
I don't remember, but they might have been 3-4 at that time. I know they weren't 3-5, but they might have been something like that.
No, I agree.
And the year they won the Super Bowl, they did it from the wild card. So
Yep.
I'm not ready to like stick a fork in the Bucs, but this is another one of those games where if they lose this game, they go 3-6. It's hard not to.
And I'll say that I think that that Bucs O-line is just too bad.
They're playing better. They've been playing better.
Oh man, that is not what I saw last week.
Am I lone wolf in this?
Absolutely not, bro. I am with you.
You're picking up. Okay,
I am picking the Rams.
I
here.
get the lone wolf on the go.
At home. You sure do. So when he loses, that's
That
going to
feels
feel
like cheating.
extra special.
This feels like cheating.
Ken, you got so many lone wolf games this year. This is your
And
catch-up
just
week.
Before
This is your catch-up
we move on, I just like Godwin. What's your like? Where's Godwin at? Now Brady came out wearing a Godwin T-shirt during one of the press conferences or something.
love
So
that stuff.
so everyone's going wild. Oh my God, Godwin's going to have a great week
like
because
you
of that.
weren't
but
you weren't going to start him. Like
that's true. If you have him, you're probably starting him.
I mean, okay. I think that what's gonna like I said, I brought up that Mike Evans thing to point out that the Buccaneers aren't just running at the wall over and over and over again. They're figuring things out.
Yeah, because they're not running at all.
No, good one. So I have confidence that they are going to get their flow together. They're going to figure it out. They're going to start scoring touchdowns. I expect that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both top 20 receivers the rest of the way. I'd starting them every week.
All right.
Should we move on to the Titans and Chiefs?
Yeah.
All right, so Titans at Chiefs. We have Titans at plus 12.5. What? And the over under at, as I guess, what, Henry's just not showing up that day. And the over under at 45.5, plus 410 if you're betting on the Titans, and minus 520 if you're betting on the Chiefs.
I actually, so we don't know yet who the quarterback for the Titans is going to be.
Oh, is that what's going on? Okay.
Yeah, Tannehill's been hurt, and or he was sick. He was sick. I don't think he's going to play, and that contributes to the spread because the Titans are probably
Gotcha,
playing
gotcha.
Malik Willis.
I missed that somehow.
And
Oh,
that's-
you know what? Before we get into this game, we do have a question. I'm sorry. What a busy.
What's up, dude?
What a busy.
He just it's a quick
for you, buddy.
it's a quick question. Indy defense or Tampa Bay defense?
That's a thinker. Hold on.
Yeah, I like man.
Indy versus Patriots. Tampa Bay versus LA. I think I'd go Indy there. I can see why it's
It's
it's a close one there.
That's a good one. I think I'd rather have Indy too.
I'd rather have Indy.
Just because the Rams and the Bucks gives a potential for a high scoring game, huh?
And that Patriots
Colts and
offense is still
Patriots as well.
trying to get together. They're not quite there yet. I'd take Indy there.
Agreed.
All right, back to the game. Titans at Chiefs.
We're done.
It kind of feels that way. I feel like
you're going to start Derrick Henry. Like you're not going to feel awesome about it because the Titans are going to be down. So that kind of sucks. But
See, that's not how I feel about this game at all.
I feel like
Oh,
they got no other choice but to just give him the ball, even if they're down.
I expect
And they will.
I expect the
That's
Chiefs
true.
I expect the Chiefs to win this game by 20.
I don't expect that. See, I like we're gonna see the Tennessee of last year in this game. I think. I think Tennessee has
would
been
you
looking
take
better
12
and
and a half
better.
points?
Are they going to have
Is it
8?
12.5?
As 12 and a half.
Are they going to
You think
have
Kansas City
Are they going to
covers
have
that?
AJ
No
Brown?
way. I don't understand that.
Malik Willis is the quarterback.
Oh, I did forget about Malik Willis. all right. That explains a little bit more.
Yeah,
All
dude,
right,
I
I
like
did
that.
forget about that.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
I
honestly,
mean, it's
think
still
the
going to be all Derrick Henry, but
I think the Chiefs are an excellent streaming defense this weekend.
Oh, well,
because
yeah.
of that. It's Steve Spagnuolo at home versus,
anytime you're facing a backup,
Yeah.
start up that defense
versus
for sure.
a young quarterback. So I think this is going to be a blowout. I do.
Okay, yeah.
So and that's why I feel
All right, I'm taking the. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
I do. I think
it's gonna be a little closer than that, especially in the first
I'm
half,
tempering my
but-
expectations for Derrick Henry, and on the other side, the thing that I'm most excited to see is Isaiah Pacheco. In this game, like to me, the one thing that I'm watching in this game is to see how they use Isaiah Pacheco coming out of the bye week, because he just looks like a man possessed when he
Okay,
has the
so
ball.
you're excited about him because like you're going to try to pick him up. You already have picked him up,
No,
or
because he's available all over the place.
is he? Like I think it feels
He's
like
been,
he's been
picked up and dropped like by 3 different teams.
Yeah, you're
in our
probably right
league.
about that.
He's that. So you know who he is this year? He's Amon St. Brown,
Okay.
because that was Amon St. Brown in every league last year was like he just got picked up and he got dropped. He got picked up. He got dropped. And I know that because like I've heard that on multiple podcasts, and it was true in our league where he passed through multiple teams before he ended up on the team where he like made that huge run with. And I feel like we have a similar situation going on with Isaiah Pacheco because there's so much potential for a Kansas City running back that gets like 80% of the work. We've seen it time and time and time.
We
and time
all
again.
want it so bad.
And the thing, yes, and this guy, like, he looks like a monster. Like he looks like Kareem Hunt. That's who he reminds me of. Like he looks like baby Kareem Hunt. Like and
about to beat his girlfriend.
and the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are the ones. Yeah, maybe that because Kareem Hunt got drafted to Kansas City, and that's what he did.
yeah, I know.
But they are the team that drafted Kareem Hunt, and it looks like they found another one. Like he looks faster than the other running backs. He looks stronger. It's just a matter of him. It's just a matter of Andy Reid having confidence in him to send him out there in any situation.
I'd really like to see it because I feel like that running back room for Kansas City has been underperforming for so long.
Yes.
I want to see something out of it.
Yes.
So I hope
And,
you're right.
and they were so good for so long. That because Kansas City produced so many stud running backs.
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Charles.
Or sorry, Jamal
Ja- Ja-
Charles.
uh,
my
oh.
bad.
Jamal Charles.
Wrong guy.
Yeah. I mean, Kareem Hunt, like, yeah.
All right, so next game we have up is the Monday night game. Ravens at the Saints. Ravens are at -2.5 with the over-under at 47.5. If you're betting on the Ravens, you're at -130, and if you're betting on the Saints, +110.
All right, so Juan really wants somebody to take the Saints here.
Oh, you know what?
Anybody willing to do it?
That reminds me. Speaking of Juan, he does have a question. Would
Oh,
be
bring it on, Juan.
Who would be a good running back 2 this week? K. Drake, E. Benjamin, or D. Jackson?
Yeah, you got to start Deion Jackson.
Ooh, yeah, honestly, that's a good question though. Like those are 3 like very borderline running backs this week. That it's just like, oh my god. And D Jackson is definitely the lock of those 3. Like of those 3, that guy is guaranteed what his workload is going to be. Benjamin, you don't know what it's gonna be until tomorrow morning, and even then you don't know. It's like, so I think that is an excellent question, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
that's the answer.
Back to the game. Ravens at Saints.
Okay. Where are we? Oh, Ravens Saints.
Ooh, this game is just so. Michael Thomas has officially been ruled out for the season, having surgery. Bye. So Chris Olave managers like myself are just super excited for the rest of the season, because he's now the number 1.
Is that number 1 going to carry him to victory over the Ravens?
God, it's Andy Dalton versus the Ravens.
And I'm going to say yes. I think the New Orleans.
Are they
at
in New
home-
Orleans? Yeah.
Yes.
They're at New Orleans.
They're in New Orleans. They're at
The
home.
defense is
Kamara
playing-
has been amazing.
Are you guys
Defense is
both
playing
picking
better.
Saints?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I was so lone wolf this pick with the Ravens. Yes, I get
this
one
is,
in.
This is a tough game. So, yeah, that's a good one to lone wolf
Yeah.
there.
But
But
yeah,
I think the Saints are going to pull this one out. I
I was
really
beginning
do.
to get worried
Yeah.
that I wouldn't have one.
You definitely want to start Kamara. You definitely want to start Olave.
after that,
Taysom Hill.
Taysom-
Taysom Hill is definitely a start.
tight end 4 on the season or something like that.
I picked him
Like,
up in one of my leagues.
Pretty
this week.
ridiculous. He's just a fun football player to watch. Like
It's just so crazy.
Like he's
a tight end, really?
so yeah. So if you're just watching from fantasy football perspective, like honestly, Taysom Annoying is kind of an annoying football player.
Right.
But if you actually watch the games and you watch football, it's hard not to root for that guy. He is awesome.
Yeah.
Like it is. He can literally do it all. He literally do everything and well. That's the thing is, and it's
true
crazy.
jack
Like
of all trades,
honestly, to me, he belongs. Like after his career is over, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Like he's not gonna.
We got to see what he does, but I can see
He's
what
not
you're
gonna.
saying.
He's not gonna have the statistics anywhere in any.
He needs to be on a winning team.
He needs to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he has to be on a
I think he
Super
needs.
Bowl
I think
winning
he
team.
needs to win a Super Bowl. I agree with that. But like if Taysom Hill gets a Super Bowl ring, it's hard. Like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he's that talented of a football player. Like he can just do everything you ask him to do. Like he can.
Well, let's watch him do it.
He
and
line-
perform
he's
He's
first.
the best
Dude,
gadget player.
He lines up as a tight end and blocks defensive linemen.
Yeah.
He lines
No,
up.
yeah,
he
that's-
lines up out wide and
Stays
runs,
healthy.
runs routes.
Yep.
He lines up as a quarterback and completes 50-yard passes. Like
Runs like a
listen to
major
this.
running back.
He lines up and blocks defensive linemen, and then they ask him to come in and replace Drew Brees so that they can throw a long ball. Like he's a special player.
I agree. I agree with that.
So that's I like watching him.
Yeah.
But this game is gonna be a lot like I don't like watching the Ravens. I really don't like watching the Ravens.
You don't know
play.
what you're going to get, and I will say that
Even when they score a lot of points, it's not fun to watch. They're not a fun team to watch. I don't
but-
like them.
Look, Rashad Bateman is a key to that team, and without him on the field, they have scored significantly less points and done just significantly worse on offense. And now he's out for the year.
It would be criminal if we didn't talk about Mark Andrews.
And Mark Andrews being out, yeah.
They have a bye coming up in week 10, and Mark Andrews has been dealing with multiple injuries. He left the game last week in the second quarter. And then, as I would have predicted, Isaiah Likely came in and was just a stud.
You did predict that last week, actually.
I
you,
did.
You said that, and you said even if Andrews was active, that you'd play him. And so, good call, sir.
Anyway, so another thing I was really tickled by listening to some other podcasts and stuff was that somebody who I really respect, Mike Clay, was asked about Mark Andrews in the situation and what would you do in a pivot situation, and his response is, well, your best option is to pick up Isaiah Likely. Right. And that's exactly what I said, was like, this is a unique situation.
They're listening to Ken.
In that this is a unique situation in the NFL in that, like, you have a just premium tight end, and if he gets hurt, just play the next guy.
Right.
Literally, you just play the next guy. And because Isaiah Likely is that good. You know, he's that talented. And actually what it kind of made me think is that there's a cycle. There's been a life cycle on Baltimore tight ends for like the last 10 years, and where you have a stud tight end, and then he's chugging along, and then he gets hurt. And then the next guy comes up, because once upon a time, Mark Andrews was the next guy. I'm trying to remember who he was playing behind.
I'm racking my brain going, wait, who?
But
yeah, I don't know.
But there's been, like, if you look back over the last 10 years, Baltimore has had multiple tight ends that were top 5 finishers. Like Todd Heap comes to mind. He was good.
That's going old school, though. That seems like a long time ago.
That's 10 years ago. But this is...
How old are you, man?
This is something that's been... But anyway, this is something that's been going on.
The NFL excitement here, dude. Doesn't matter when it came out.
Some teams just produce at positions at a astronomically higher level than other teams.
And if you're saying with a particular coaching staff, then I completely agree.
And, well, throughout the Harbaugh era.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And they've done that throughout the Harbaugh era. They've had excellent tight ends. They've just drafted, and, well, also, who was their GM?
Or they just really use that tight end position.
Their GM is possibly the greatest the greatest tight end of all time, Ozzie Newsome. So, like, he knows a good tight end when he sees one. Anyway,
we have a question too. When
so I was just to wrap that up. Mm-hmm. Isaiah Likely, he is. I really think that he's so good. Like, if he's going to happen eventually, whether he's going to be a star with the Ravens because this pattern plays out and Mark Andrews becomes somebody who just gets worn down by injuries or whatever.
Or like trade him for value.
And seeing that's the thing is, like, what's happened with these Ravens tight ends is they've blown up and they've become superstars in fantasy. And then before they even hit 30, they're not on the team anymore and they're not producing in the next place that they go. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to Mark Andrews. All I'm saying is, like, it's happened to Baltimore Ravens tight ends for the last 10 to 15 years. So it's like it could happen. And Isaiah Likely seems to be like the next guy.
And I hear you, but they've never had a tight end like Andrews before.
I disagree with that. Like, I disagree with
goodness,
that.
wow. Okay.
I don't
All
think
right, moving on.
He's not.
We don't need to get into that.
He's not Gronk and he's not Kelsey. So
now we're at 2 questions. First question from Juan on YouTube. Is M. Hardman a good flex this week?
No, they got new toys. They picked up Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, he's never a good flex. He's somebody that you can flex if you need to. You know what I mean? And maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe it's one of the 2 or 3 games a year where
this is not a good
off,
matchup to do that.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
You don't expect the Chiefs to need to score a whole lot of points.
To.
Like, you want to start him in a matchup where the opposing defense doesn't have good pass coverage, and you expect they will be able to keep up with the Chiefs in points. And we have neither of those situations going on this weekend.
Second question from What a Beze. Metcalf, Algier, or Duvernay as a flex?
Right.
DK for sure.
Really? Wait, hold on. Metcalf?
Yeah, he's performing.
Duvernay or
Algier?
Wow.
If Cordero,
Metcalf is definitely.
So if Patterson, no.
Hold on. Metcalf is the quality of the names there. Like, he's the quality. But Metcalf is going up against a really good matchup this week, or a really bad matchup, I should say, for him.
It's actually not.
No, Arizona.
PFF actually says it's not. He's in a good matchup.
So the fact that against Arizona, the number one tight end has gotten shut down so many times because their
The number one
quarterback is so
receiver?
good. Like
DK, they didn't shut down DK though. He scored against him.
Okay, but
he scored. He scored
he
against
didn't
them.
do great though. He didn't go off against them.
I'm
Right? Like
gonna look it up right now.
I don't
Well,
know. I would be
Gino-
reluctant to play DK.
Gino's a lot better now than he was, right? Than at that other time.
It wasn't that long ago. That's the
It's
thing.
only a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right, but I still feel like Gino's a better Gino.
No, actually, no. He did have a bad game against them.
That's what I'm saying. The Arizona
it
trend
was-
is a thing.
Yeah.
Arizona is very good at shutting down
You're right.
the number one wide
You're right,
receiver.
you're right.
So
I think-
I mean,
But also
you
that
might
game,
have to
also
play
Arizona
DK.
didn't score in that game. So like,
Yeah.
if
So that makes a difference too. Yeah, you're
yes.
right.
So if Arizona's going to score in this game, which I expect them to do, like I think this is one of those like sneaky fantasy bonanza games.
My big thing is Tyler Lockett. How's he going to do? Like it feels like now normally the
You know
number
what's
two
funny?
wide receiver has a good matchup against Arizona.
Uh-huh.
I would slam Tyler Lockett, but he's still getting back from that hamstring injury, and I don't think he's completely healthy yet. He wasn't last week, that's for sure. So
But the guy who's
where are we at on him?
actually out this week is Marquise Goodwin.
Wow, he's out too.
Yeah, so I think they're gonna get work, and actually Lockett had a terrible game against the Cardinals too. He scored less points than DK did, and DK scored 5.5 points.
He was hurt though.
against the Cardinals.
Yes, this is
Is
when
that-
his
is that the-
hamstring.
is that the
injury,
game he got
yes.
hurt?
Yes. Well, no. This is he was trying to come back from his hamstring injury in that game. Yeah, I remember because I was
Well, he
playing in
hasn't missed a game.
DFS, brother. So yeah, no, I know for sure. Like he got hurt. He was trying to come back. He came back as a decoy. Didn't do well
Yeah.
because he was hurt. But so for Lockett, to me, it's if you feel he is healthy, play him.
It was
He's going to
DK.
have a great game.
So what?
Great
what,
game,
what,
but I don't
it was,
think he is.
It was DK, Algier, and Duvernay. And
that's the thing is Algier
and
Duvernay
so-
are just, ugh.
So I think that if Patterson doesn't play, if Cordell Patterson doesn't play, then Tyler Algier has the highest floor, but I think that DK has the highest ceiling. So if you are projected to lose your matchup, I'd rather play DK, and if you're projected to win your matchup, I'd rather play Tyler Algier. But you got to watch and make sure that Patterson's not going to play, because if Patterson plays, then you definitely play DK.
Yeah, I agree with that. Man, God, your team was so great last week. Like, why are you choosing between those three this week?
So
By NATO, man. He's
moving on.
He's
Bipocalypse.
The
I get it.
bipocalypse.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Thursday night game, the one that's always fun to predict. We
favorite.
have Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. The
Two
spread,
try-hard teams.
This was such a good game last week.
the spread's only -1.5. The over/under is 41.5, and if you're betting on the Falcons, -125.
41.5 over under on a game. They just went. I'm sorry.
And if you're betting on the Panthers, +105.
They just scored 70 points combined, and you're going to give them an over under of 41.
Because Vegas was like, that was a fluke. We all know that's not going to happen again.
I mean, I think it's got to be like a Thursday night discount, because like there's just lower scoring games on Thursday night. We don't.
Is that trend? Is that a theory?
That is a trend.
Yes.
is a
I
trend.
think. I honestly. So teams hate it. The
I
players
love it. I
the
wish
fans,
everybody would catch
we
COVID again
love-
so we could see it on Tuesday
yeah.
too.
Wednesday, Friday, yeah, every day of the week football.
Yeah.
But the players, they hate it, and it really seems like there's like, I don't want to say dumbed down game plans, but it seems like the teams use the Thursday night game as an opportunity to like ratchet things down and like get healthy if they need to get healthy and things like that.
Take a slower pace.
Does that make sense? Like not take as many chances on things. And
It's like an unspoken agreement that
And-
we don't know
and-
about.
yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
like,
seriously.
let's just take it easy.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
but it seems like that because the games just don't seem as like hard fought. You know what I mean?
I mean, they should bring the rivalry Thursday back.
Best
and
game so far has been that's what they should do.
And-
All the Thursday night games should be division games.
Yeah. And that we would probably get better quality Thursday night games at that point.
Because you cannot just like you can't mail it in for a division game.
Yeah.
They're so important. So yeah, I think that would probably help. We like obviously you don't want to watch all of the division matchups that are going to happen, so you're still going to have some duds here and there on Thursday night, like when they match up Tennessee and Jacksonville on Thursday night. But overall, I think that would give us better games because you have to you have to beat your division opponents.
Who do you think is going to win out of this Falcons and Panthers game? It's only -1.5.
I am going to take the Falcons in that game. Like, I don't feel super strongly about it, but I kind of like the Falcons. I think they're a solid team. I think they play smart football. They don't really beat themselves too much.
And as far as fantasy prospects in this game?
Don't really want to talk about them too much in advance, but I imagine if Cordell Patterson doesn't play this week, he'll definitely play in that one. So, like, that's happening. So the Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley experience is coming to an end. On the other side, like, I am really going to be paying attention to Terrace Marshall this weekend for the Panthers and see what he does. If he has another big game, because if he has another big game, that'll be 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. And DJ Moore. It's DJ Moore season. I think I said this when they were trading everybody away. It's like they're not going to have a choice now. They're going to have to give him the ball. And they just look like a better team when they're trying to force DJ Moore the ball. So that's difficult to pick, but yeah, I like the Falcons that game.
What about you, Brian? Do you have a fantasy favorite with this Falcons at the Panthers game?
I'm going to go ahead and take Atlanta.
You can take Atlanta?
I think it's a close game.
Okay.
I think it could be very much as good as the last one, but I'm going to take Atlanta here. Even though they're on the road, they just seem like the better team to me.
Very good. So now we're done with all that. Let's take a look at our questions that we have here going on.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. Eno Benjamin, Hardman, or Drake at flex? Kenya Drake.
Probably Eno Benjamin there. Maybe Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, one of those two,
You're going to have to wait till Sunday morning, unfortunately, because you're going to have to wait and see what's going on with Connor.
If Connor plays, then I would rather start Drake. And if Connor doesn't play, you start Benjamin. You can feel good about it, too, because Seattle is a little soft on defense.
Yep.
Although Benjamin did not have a good game against them.
But he's going to get the opportunities, though.
Because if you remember, we were excited about that. That was the first time Benjamin was supposed to. It's like, okay, this is a smash start. Everybody's playing Benjamin everywhere. And then he just...
And then he sucked. And the next week, nobody played him.
And then he was awesome.
And then he went off, yeah.
I played him in that one, though.
I did, too. Any other questions?
That's it.
All right. It's time for DFS.
All right.
I get to have
favorite time of the night.
I get to have
the last 3 weeks.
I get to have a shot.
Yeah, take a shot, sir. You got the low score of the week. I got the highest for the third week in a row. I will say for those of us playing DFS,
we don't have a wheel of shame.
Yeah. Those of us playing DFS last week was a weird week. Oh my goodness, what a high scoring week it was. Like I scored about 160, a little under 160 in my cash lineup, and I didn't come close to cashing. Like the cash line was like 180, 185 or something crazy like that, which the cash line is usually about 130. So weird week. If you didn't get the right players, sorry, because man, the right players
We're
just
monstrous.
went off.
Yes. Not having the right players really killed you this week.
All right. So, should I lead us off because I keep losing, or should you lead us off because you keep winning?
That's up to you guys. I am ready either way.
All right. I'll start us off.
All right, we're going cash to start.
And yeah, starting off with our cash lineup. Give me 1 second to load this. I can read all the numbers. At quarterback, we've got Justin Fields.
Yeah,
At
same.
$5,300 is
Hard not to.
Yeah, it's really hard not to. The Dolphins are going to score points. He's going to even if he throws interceptions, they don't really hurt that much. He's gonna have to do a lot of work.
His floor is very high.
Yeah, and let me look at this real quick because his rushing statistics over the last few games are just insane. Let me see.
Yeah, you can tell they've figured out what works, and they're like, "Oh, let's do this."
6 straight games of 45 or more rushing yards, and 2 straight games of having a rushing touchdown. He's
So just
and-
think
and
about
now,
that.
And
That
now
was
this
the
is
6 to 7 points to just start with. By the way,
we started out the year by killing them for how little they threw the ball. And now he's still not throwing the ball a ton, but he does have 5 consecutive games of more than 20 pass attempts.
that's something.
And and it is. And actually he's completing a fair amount of his passes. So he's not like, I'm looking at it and he's completing 65% of his passes. So
Yeah, that's decent.
he's playing well. I like him a lot. Anyway, $5,300 seems like a steal. At running back for $6,300, we got Travis Etienne. He looks like they're just giving him like Saquon level work.
Oh, yeah.
like he's
They're just like, "Oh, this is our guy."
Yeah, he gets the ball a lot. It looks actually Josh Jacobs actually is what it looks like because the Raiders they pound Josh Jacobs a lot.
Yeah, but he looks way more explosive than Jacobs.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't say that. Josh Jacobs looks like shiftier. Like he looks faster than Josh Jacobs. Like
A lot
straight line
faster.
speed.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then also at running back at $6,200. Somehow I don't understand how he's still $6,200. Rammonster Stevenson.
I thought you were going to say my guy for 6,200, but never mind.
Oh, cool. To stack back against Travis Etienne, I've got Devontae Adams, who he was sick last week.
Should make a comeback.
Should make a comeback. He's in a really good matchup. I like him a lot. $8,100 on Devontae. $5,900 and probably the steal of the weekend, I think, is Terry McLaurin,
My boy.
wide receiver. And then finishing off my wide receivers, I've got Josh Palmer at $5,100. He's gonna if he plays, he might not play, and if he doesn't play, I will pivot to DeAndre Carter.
Okay.
But if Josh Palmer plays, he's going to go off.
I will say, he's somebody that I seriously thought about, but I'm just worried that he's not going to be able to handle the number one coverage. Like, he's going to be the de facto
He's
number
been
one on
good.
the team.
And the
And so
Falcons aren't really scary. That's the thing. Is the Falcons are not a scare. So if
I'd just be more interested
if
in
Keenan Allen had been playing, Keenan Allen was in like the top 10 wide receiver versus cornerback matchups. With Keenan Allen not playing, Josh Palmer should slide into that and get that coverage. And now
So you're just saying the secondary isn't anything to be afraid of. So
no,
let's
and
go.
he's going to get the work.
All right.
Like,
Yeah. No, that's definitely a valid point.
Like he's not going to get as much work. I would be surprised if he had more targets than Austin Eckler. So it's not like he's going to get that kind of work. Austin
Eckler's gonna be
Eckler
great.
is just going to be amazing. At tight end, I've got the most expensive tight end you can have this weekend at $5,100.
I know who that is.
Playing Zach Ertz
Yep.
against Seattle. Seattle is the dead last against tight ends in fantasy football this year. And then on my flex, kind of easy. Seems like a free square this weekend is Deion Jackson for $5,200. And then I'm
scared of him.
pair him with my defense, and I'm going to select the Colts defense. Not
Okay.
the Patriots.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
That's my cash
and
line.
how much was he? Or what's the Indy defense?
The Indy defense was $2,700.
Okay. So very cheap, but
I actually
not the
hate
bottom
it.
of the barrel.
So I don't feel like there are any like smash defensive plays this weekend.
No.
The higher end DraftKings buys I didn't like at all. Like Miami's $3,800, and I feel terrible
Ugh.
about that.
Yeah, I would
Like,
never pay that.
The Bears just put up 30 on the Cowboys, and the Dolphins don't have a good defense. And the Bears are at home. Honestly, they lost that game by 20, but they didn't on the field. They didn't look like a team that was losing the game by 20.
I agree.
They look like a team that was having fun. They're figuring it out. They're going to play hard. So yeah, I didn't like that at all. I actually it was hard not to just put the Jets in. because the Jets at the stone minimum at 2,000, and they've played Josh Allen really tough. They're at home, but yeah.
I didn't start the Jets either, but they were definitely consideration. I went with the Carolina Panthers.
2,300.
Only 2,300, so it's just 300 more. But when I'm building my lineup, like I put Carolina in there first, and I'm like, okay, if there's anywhere I need $300 more,
and take 'em
I
out.
can just jump in
Play the
back
Jets.
and play the Jets. So they were definitely in consideration.
Like the middle ones seemed all bad this week, and the
Yep.
high end ones just didn't seem worth it.
Yeah, so you go low.
Maybe New England if you're
Yeah.
going to spend up. Maybe New England. That would
But
be
yeah.
the only one.
So my cash lineup, I went with Justin Fields as well. I mean, just for all the reasons he said, like that's the way to go. Just a very, very high floor. Austin Eckler is going to be amazing this week. So I mean,
I agree.
Cash lineup, he's a slam dunk in my opinion. I definitely started him. ETN, I agree with Ken on that one. Like my God, he's going to have a great week. Like he looks so good. He looks like he has so much juice, and he is at home against a bad defense. So love it. Wide receiver, McLaurin, again, I think is a smash. And, Ken helped me out with that one, even though I've been the McLaurin lover forever. And I went with D. Hopkins as my other. Bit of a tough matchup, but, man, he's just going to get the ball. I feel like he's guaranteed 15 to 20 points as a floor.
I've got a pending trade for him right now in our
Yeah.
Liga record. Well, and so actually, I'd like to, what do you think? I offered Jamar Chase and Mark Andrews for Aaron Jones and DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, yeah. No, I like your trade. Like, it's pending? Like, they accepted?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. I was like, man. You're trading away your two wounded warriors for two fantastic warriors.
Well,
I'm like,
it's-
I don't
Hopkins
know.
is a 30-year-old receiver who did.
But he's going to be good this year. He's going to be good. Anyway, all right. So I went with Hopkins, and for my third receiver, I went with Khalif Raymond.
Saving some money.
Saving some money. He's only 4,000, and
When you
like,
said you had Austin Eckler in your lineup, I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this.
Where are you saving?
Where's the
Yeah.
savings?
And that's the guy right there. Well, him and Evan Ingram as my tight end. Evan Ingram for 3,300 at tight end seems a bit of a steal this week against Las Vegas.
And now you're not worried about starting a tight end and a running back on the same team in your cash lineup?
Not a running back and tight end, no.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you don't want to get too much past that, but your tight end, especially in this circumstance where you're only paying 3,300, you're trying to get 10 points out of him.
He shouldn't be 3,300.
Right, which is the point. You're trying to get 10 points out of him, and I think that's a really high likelihood there. And ETN at only 6,300, you're basically trying to get 19 points out of him, and I think that's a highly, you know what I mean. This is a cash lineup. Now, if this was,
I'm only saying because they're the same team.
I completely agree, and I thought about that. And if this was a tournament lineup, I probably wouldn't do this unless I had Trevor Lawrence as the quarterback, and I thought
And you were stacking.
Yes, I'm just stacking it up. But because it's a cash lineup, I'm just going for what I think the sure things are, and I like it. And then for my flex, I was able to afford Ken Walker at 6,200. So I think Walker is better than your. Who's your?
Ramondre Stevenson.
I like Walker.
Oh,
better
can we
than
put
Stevenson.
that up this week?
Yes, that is. Yes, we need a bet this week. I love it. All right, I'm gonna put that on the board.
Yes, I got
And then Carolina is my defense there. So there you go. That's the winning lineup.
That's the winning lineup, he says.
Well, the last 3 weeks. I'm just saying.
So after our DraftKings segment, we do have two viewer insights or questions, however you want to put it.
Right on.
But let's get through the segment. So my lineup, and Brian is beating me on points, but we're tied on weeks, wins throughout the week. So here we go. My cash game DraftKings lineup, I'm going with Geno Smith for $5,800. I thought that was pretty decent. I'm going with Mixon from Cincinnati, Mostert from Miami. I try to save some money and threw somebody out there, and hopefully he produces. But I'm going with Dobbs from Green Bay.
I like that one.
McLaurin,
What was the price on Dobbs?
So we're all on McLaurin this week.
5,300.
53. Okay.
Everybody's-
Everybody loves McLaurin. Right on.
Samuel for Washington. My tight end went with Ertz, and Higgins from Cincinnati with the Falcons defense. Again, like we were never really on like the same page as for like defenses this year. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and snake this, and I'll go straight into my tournament lineup. Let me make sure I pick the right one here because I accidentally inputted an extra tournament. Let's see here. For my tournament lineup, I'm going with the Jacksonville and Las Vegas game here. So,
Nice.
Tournament. I'm going with Lawrence for Jacksonville. It's ETN for my running back. Jacobs, Higgins. I needed to throw somebody else out there. Higgins from Cincinnati. Kirk from Jacksonville. Again, another person I needed to throw out there from another game was Washington, McLaurin. And then back to Jacksonville with Ingram. My flex, I'm going with Moore, and my defense, Chargers.
Which more?
D Moore
DJ.
from North Carolina. So that is my tournament lineup.
And what was your defense?
The Chargers for 3,400. Of the defenses, I feel like maybe Atlanta might not produce on that, make some mistakes.
Yeah.
There's a world where that happens for sure.
And for 3,400, that's the big thing. Like San Diego, L.A. is a good defense.
The Clippers.
Or in this, the Clippers in this situation. But 3,400 seems a little high. But if you end up with the extra cash, hey, why not? All right, so tournament entry. I'm gonna go with Heineke, Taylor Heineke. Now here's the thing.
I know. It's okay.
I know. Well, here, sorry, let me just throw this.
What's he cost?
5,400.
5,400. So for
So
$5,400,
very cheap.
What he needs is 250 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Right.
That's what you need.
And last week he got 23.1 fantasy points, which is right around what we need. And that was versus Indy. He's got a better.
If he'd had another touchdown in that game, that would have paid off for tournament. Yeah, for sure.
He's going to be behind, I think,
I agree.
playing against Minnesota. Here.
I'm not making fun of this at all.
Right, we're all like we all think that McLaurin is a good start,
Mm-hmm.
and so of course I'm stacking him with McLaurin. You know what I mean? But I know for that price and for a tournament lineup where you're just shooting for the stars, I think he can hit 303, and if he does that, then I've got a chance to win this tournament. So that's what I'm going for. ETN again, I went with because God, it just seems like such an obvious start there. Raheem Mostert, I think that Miami is going to score a bunch of points. It's just a matter of how. And I think Mostert is one of the 3 top weapons to hit it. I think those 2 wide receivers, Hill and Waddle, are your main 2 weapons. But I think everyone knows about that. And Mostert has Chicago was the 29th best rushing defense.
And
so
Pollard ripped them up.
exactly. Yeah. So Mostert, the track star, like he should do well as well.
I agree.
Wide receiver. I'm going to go ahead and go with Devontae Adams here. I think Adams is going to come back strong this week. I think he's a good comeback against ETN in this, what I think is going to be a high-scoring matchup here. I went ahead and went with Justin Jefferson. I had a little bit of cash to spend, and I think Jefferson is in one of those matchups that he can just score a lot of points. And McLaurin's on the other side, so hopefully that's what's happening. We've got Evan Ingram in there at tight end. I just think at 3,300, he's just the bargain tight end this week. It's hard to avoid him. And Khalif Raymond again, for 4,000, almost he's what I consider a guaranteed 10 points.
I'm watching him now.
He's guaranteed 10 points this week, and it's just
right.
well, I'm gonna take that.
We'll see.
So
We'll see.
And then Carolina defense once again because they are cheap as heck, and they're gonna score some points against Cincinnati. So there you go.
I like it. All right, and my tournament lineup, we're going to stack in the Green Bay Detroit game. And
Okay.
now that Aaron Rodgers is off of my roster in our league,
Now he's gonna go off.
Now is the game where he's going to go off. And so I'm going to play Aaron Rodgers for $5,900, which seems crazy. $5,900 for Aaron Rodgers against Detroit.
I agree.
Sign me up. His main weapon is going to be Aaron Jones. So I'm going to play Aaron Jones at $7,400 at running back. I'm also going to play Jamal Williams to stack back against them for $5,900. The Green Bay, we brought this up earlier. The Green Bay Packers are actually really bad against the run. If the Lions get inside the 10-yard line, you can expect that Jamal Williams is going to be the one who scores the touchdown.
Now, let me just interrupt right here. Like, usually this is not a strategy you want to do. You do not want to have two running backs in the same game. That's a very low percentage play usually, but there are huge exceptions.
Aaron Jones is
right. So when you have those pass catching running backs, like there are definitely exceptions for this rule, but you should know this rule. Do not play the same running backs from opposite teams in the same game. Unless you have a real reason not to.
There are situations where it comes up where you want to play both running backs.
But 85 to 90% of the time you don't.
Derrick Henry and Dameon Pierce were a really good pair against each other.
Right.
Anyway, and Jamal Williams is also a steal at $5,900 for a running back that you expect to get probably 15 to 20 touches
at least.
At wide receiver. I've got Justin Jefferson at $8,600.
Copycat.
I've got Drake London at $4,900, and I've got Josh Palmer at $5,100.
All right.
So he's got Khalif Raymond in both of his lineups, and I've got Josh Palmer in both of mine. I like that.
Well, I'm just saying Khalif Raymond is 5,100. Or I'm sorry,
Palmer's
51 and Khalif is 4,000. So
yeah, so so like in a cash, like it's 15 points versus 12, and in the tournament it's 20 versus 30,
and it makes a difference in the savings as to like who can I get
20
in
versus
other
25
places. So,
actually.
Yeah.
Interesting
pivot point.
Yeah, so the difference here is that you spent up on two receivers.
Yes.
And I did not. I spread out my cash in my running backs and my tight end, I guess. Because at tight end, I've got the guy that I'm actually pairing with Aaron Rodgers, this feels so weird, is Robert Tonyan. His matchup is excellent. He has been Aaron Rodgers' favorite target when he seems to get in trouble. And the Lions are just bad.
He's the only target that knows where he's supposed to be.
and catches the ball when you throw it to him. So that full stack is Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Robert Tonyan, and then bringing it back with Jamal Williams on the other side. Because I actually don't feel very confident in any of the Lions.
I love it because it's hilarious that I was going to go with Trevor Lawrence, ETN, and then and the tight end, and I was just like, oh, I can't do it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I did it.
Yeah, no, and when you're doing that weird quarterback pairing, like that's one of those that not many people think of that can really go off.
Yeah, it could really pay off.
It's definitely a tournament lineup, not a cash.
Yep.
But
and then at flex for $6,100, I've got Raheem Mostert.
Love it.
And also the Panthers defense at $2,300.
There you go.
Finishes off my lineup. And
to the comments then, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right. So we have let's see here. Juan wants to know Eno Benjamin, Hardman, Drake at flex.
We went through that one already.
Oh, what the heck? Did we? Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Kenyon Drake. Okay, so let's go over here. Ethan, I think, who was a first-time viewer.
What's up,
buddy?
Let's see here. Let me scroll up a little bit. I was offered Dante Foreman and DPJ for K9 and Devontae Smith. Do I accept?
Wait, who? Sorry, what?
I was offered Dante Foreman and DPJ for K9 and Devontae Smith. Do I accept?
DPJ?
Dude,
Ethan, if you can
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. God, wow. Yeah,
Deontay,
that's an odd name to be putting in initials for.
Deontay Foreman and Donovan Peoples-Jones for.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What was the other side?
K9 and Devontae Smith.
K9.
They straight up put K9. So if you can give us a little bit more clarification on that, Ethan.
Yeah, we're struggling here. Canine.
Jack Terrace, what do we?
Ken Walker wears number 9, and I wouldn't give up Ken Walker. So if it's Ken Walker, I say no.
That makes sense.
So Jack Terrace, what do we think of Deshaun?
He wears number 9, right? Ken Walker.
Dude. Sorry, go ahead, Ray.
So let's see here. Jack Terrace wants to know, what do we think of Deshaun Jackson with the Ravens with all the injuries
I
happening?
think that's going to be the most popular showdown DFS play on Monday night is going to be like every single person is going to have Deshaun Jackson in their lineup,
And you shouldn't.
and you shouldn't.
Like,
And then
he is a complete decoy. He's going to be the guy running downfield. He's going to be getting lots of cardio yards.
The word on the
but-
street is he still got it. Like, and I mean,
He can run fast.
Yes.
That's what he can do.
He can run fast. He can run fast, and he does catch the ball. Like, Deshaun Jackson is one of the most annoying players of all time to me. Like, and mostly because he's an Eagle. But he's from California.
I was gonna say, he's in everything. He's been on every team by now.
He's from here. He went to Cal, and he's been in the league for forever. And this is what he does. He's like, he shows up and he's gonna score.
You guessed the week.
Yeah, exactly. You guessed the week, but he will. There's gonna be an electrifying highlight from Deshaun Jackson.
He'll have a good
in a
matchup,
Baltimore
get
Ravens
2
uniform.
touchdowns and 120 yards,
Yep,
and then do nothing the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mariah Carey in the holiday season. You know, he's going to be around for a little while, and then you just put him away.
So
Forget about him until next year, and he'll pop up again.
And Ethan Hartman did say Kenneth Walker.
Hey,
Yeah.
So no, I would not trade Kenneth Walker. No, I would not.
No, sir.
No.
And then back to
Walker's
Jack,
gonna be amazing.
he wants to clarify that he's got to buy Megadon this week.
Buy
Oh, buy
Megadon.
Megadon.
Yeah.
This week in a 14-team league.
You can do
and
you can do better than that.
in a
Like,
14-team league.
So if you're I understand if you're desperate. I totally get that. Like, you need to make a start this week, but I would rather take a 0 than take a bad trade.
Okay. So I'll just finish this comment off.
you'll-
I think you answered it, but I will finish this comment off. It's a 14-team league and trades fell through. Picked up Likely, which maybe means Likely, and Jackson. New Orleans have shut down tight ends all year. Should I risk it for the biscuit with Jackson?
Lamar Jackson?
Jackson is a tight end.
He's not talking about Juwan Johnson, maybe? Like, is he talking about the New Orleans tight end?
And to clarify, we are from California, Jessica. I think that might be Jessica is, I think, a new YouTube viewer as well. So we are from California.
So,
Do we have a clarifying question for Jack? Is that what we're trying to do here? We're trying to figure out what he.
yeah, can you
Which Jackson?
can you read
Deshaun, baby.
Oh, Deshaun Jackson. Okay. Yeah, I would rather do that. So I would much rather play Deshaun Jackson on Monday night than accept a bad trade.
Yep.
And that's it. We're all caught up with the chat.
Yeah, those situations do suck though.
But unless you're,
I was in
if
that
you're
situation
in a
last
must
year.
win. If you're 3-5 or something like that, and you have a real option, like maybe you know what I mean. But man, I'd hate to do it. I agree. I think you just take the long-term value and move on there. But it could be tough if you're in a bad position.
And also you're in a 14-team league, so it really depends. It really depends on your record because you can lose more games in that league and still make the playoffs.
Yep.
So Ethan in another league was offered Saquon Barkley and Tyler Boyd for Derrick Henry. I saw Derrick's playoff
That's a
scheduled,
good
and
one.
it took
That's
great.
a really interesting trade.
My running backs are Derek Joe Mixon and Brian Robinson and Tony Pollard.
So he'd have Saquon. Yeah.
I think I'd do it.
I think I would do it too.
Yeah.
I like it because, like, Saquon and Derrick Henry are almost equal. Like, I think you probably have to put Derrick Henry above Saquon just because of the limited.
Just
amount
because
of
of the ceiling. Like when Derrick Henry goes off, he goes off. But Barkley,
what I would say is that I think their ceilings are equal. I think the likelihood of Derrick Henry hitting his ceiling on a week-to-week basis is higher than Saquon Barkley's. That because of that they have nothing else. That they're just going to give the ball to Derrick Henry over and over and over and over again. Whereas
Which
the Giants,
is an asset and a liability.
if you watch the Giants this year, that's not what they're doing with Saquon. He is getting the ball a good amount of times, but it seems very planned out how many times he gets the ball. And they are asking, Saquon Barkley is the best player on their offense, but they're asking Daniel Jones to win the game. And in Tennessee, they're asking Derrick Henry to win the game. They're just giving him the ball and saying,
So
we
it seems
need you.
like the trade is basically Henry for Barkley. Would you do that? And
so that's the thing is
and
so
I think I would. I think I like rest of season.
if I don't think
I'd take
straight
Barkley
straight
here.
up, I don't think I would do that. But you're telling me I also get Tyler Boyd while Jamar Chase is out.
Right.
That's the
And
that's
out
the kicker
for a while.
That's the kicker for
Yeah.
me. And you don't So I think it's a good deal because you're getting pretty much a wash at running back and a starting wide receiver for the next
For at
couple
least
weeks.
4 weeks. Yeah. I'd take it.
I'd do it.
So we're all caught up in comments. I think for you guys, just a reminder, you can check us out on, all your podcast platforms, Fantasy Football Theories, Facebook, Fantasy Football Theories, and I'm Cloud Adjuster on all platforms. And Ken?
I am Ken Against the Clock on Instagram and Mr. Goodbet on Twitter.
And Brian's Brian. We'll get him on the social media things.
Social media sucks.
Yeah, if you go to our Facebook, if you go to our Facebook page, you can get Brian's address and you can mail him a letter.
He's accepting smoke signals currently.
Yes.
You send it in the mail, maybe I'll get it.
Are you still looking for
You
a
send
new
an
pen?
email, there's no way.
Are you still looking for a new pen pal? Dottie passed away, right?
Yeah, anyone from across the ocean.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Remember, at the 7 o'clock hour, that's when we try to hit it up.
Sometime between 7 and 8 on Friday nights.
All right, you guys, peace out.
Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Crush it.